Coming up on this episode of The Brain Drain Show.
I've seen loads of weird stuff because I've been to Roswell. It was spinning around in the sky. We were sitting there like, what is that? So I looked up, the man looked down at me and stood on my chest. And as I looked over, there was a silhouette of a fucking guy crouching down. Man, or whatever it was just disappeared. I missed you, I miss seeing you. I get a bit emotional. I cried when I left. But it's been, 14 years riding Heroin. That's nuts, isn't it? And I pulled it and it was a shotgun. It was like cocked. It had 2 shells in it. And I was like, whoa, like messing around. So I could have easily just blown him to bits. I remember ringing Jake. I was like, Mike V's coming. We should take him to like a traveller site. So yeah, if you're listening, Mike, I know where you are. And she's like gone to pull over. He pulled a gun out of his pants. He had it at the woman's head. All these cars, police cars, fucking 20 of them all skid around, all the lights are flashing. All the police, like everyone on the floor. I'm Craig Questions. This has been Drain Brain.
Hello and welcome back to another great episode of The Brain Drain Show, hosted by myself, Forde Brookfield, with my trusty co-host.
Hello.
What's your name? Tell the people
Toby.
Your name. In case you don't know Toby, that's Toby Batchelor. And we got a very special guest coming on today. I've known him for a long time, great skateboarder, very great friend. Sometimes he'll message me randomly saying Dwayne Peters has died, and then when I try to look it up, turns out he's sadly still with us. Not sadly. But anyway, joined to our left is...
Craig Questions Scott.
Craig Questions Scott to the left in the studio. If we can have a round of applause, please, in the studio audience.
Give me one as well.
Oh,
make them click.
I got like the ring under the nail.
What is that ring?
It's keeper ring.
It's a nice little keeper ring there.
It is. Got a big one at home. Bigger one.
Yeah.
I believe it's a Edwardian engagement ring.
All right.
If I'm correct, which it might not be.
Nice.
But possibly.
So before we jump into this, tell us about your train up here. What happened?
Yeah, I was had a pretty nice train journey. Reading. What was I reading? Well, I should know. Booker T. Washington, Up from Slavery. Quite engrossed in the book, and I left my setup on the train, which is quite novice.
Up from Slavery.
But it's
that sounds pretty deep.
Yeah, it's quite frustrating because I'm pretty good at not forgetting things. And I start thinking, am I guilty because I'm ungrateful because I know I can just set a new board up when I get home? It's like, no, but that's not a problem.
That's the joy of being a sponsored skateboarder.
Yeah, it is, but then is there an ungratefulness to that just because you know, I'm lucky to obtain all the stuff for free, aren't I? So it's not a problem. When I want to sponsor it, it'd be terrible, wouldn't it?
I mean, if you were constantly belling people up, like we know some people in the skate scene that are constantly belling people up for shoes and boards and whatnot, but if you get them when they're given or if you need one...
Who are you talking about?
Well, it's no one in this room.
How long does the board last you normally?
Oh, God, ages. I skate boards for months. The reason being, I got this strange sentimentality of being a kid and not being able to get boards.
Yeah.
And just skating.
Till you can't ride anymore.
Yeah, there's something quite nice about it.
Because that's what everyone had to do, isn't it? Like, when you're younger, you just skate whatever you can get for as long as you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it almost reminds you of being a kid. It sets you back to being a kid, doesn't it?
When you set up a board, do you take loads of time doing it? Like grip tape?
I used to, but
because you used to have intense grip jobs.
I used to just spend too much time, gripping boards, but I cut it up a bit now.
Yeah.
I saw like Jamie Thomas posted a thing, it was quite a while ago now, but he was saying he was making a real effort to
set boards up.
Yeah,
because they almost become more sentimental.
Yeah, exactly, and sort of like embrace that you can get a board and you can do that up because... it's like you just get a board, grip it, set it up, go.
And then it's
just another bit of wood.
Another board. And then it's funny, I used to keep them, I don't keep them so much now.
Yeah.
But you look back on boards, don't you, and you think, things you write on boards. Oh, I remember, I had some see-through grip and I had a picture of Roscoe Holcomb, who was a banjo player.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I remember that specific moment in time, that's when I got, that's when I bought a banjo when I was 18, and that's when I started playing, and that's when I was interested in that particular...
I did that when I got into cowboy movies, like Tyrone Power, Henry Fonda kind of things.
I need to search deeper into the spaghetti western genres.
Oh, man, yeah.
Jeez.
You're into cowboy movies?
I do like a good cowboy movie. Spaghetti western's good.
What are your favourites? What are your favourite spaghetti westerns?
What's the last one I watched? Alejandro Jabrowski.
El Topo.
El Topo.
Yeah, incredible, yeah. So strange. I think he was a Mexican, I think he was Mexican, and supposedly the Catholic Church put out a hit on his head because they didn't want him to sort of, what's the word?
Jabrowski?
Yeah.
Yeah.
they didn't want him sort of like, you know, soiling the name of Catholicism.
Have you seen the Holy Mountain as well?
Of course, yeah.
Both of those films to me are the exact same, because there's like, in El Topo, there's the 8 gunslingers that he has to defeat. And in the Holy Mountain, there's 8 levels of different
A lot of mysticism,
planets.
isn't there?
And he shaves his head in both of them and completely changes his
I'll tell you,
character.
you should watch, which is incredible, which is Holy Mountain with the commentary on. Have you seen it with the commentary?
No.
I've got a version of it on DVD. It's got the commentary and it explains everything. And there's so much. He was really into mysticism and tarot reading and occultism. And there's so much influence in those films. El Topo for imagery is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's amazing.
The one thing I remember greatly about it is the guy with no arms, with the midget on his back with no legs.
Tying his hair.
Working his... No, he's got no arms. He's got a midget strapped to him.
Yeah.
But the midget has no legs, so they're forming as one person. You remember that?
Yeah.
It's really strange. And the kid... The boy the cowboy, the gunslinger, riding through the town with the naked child on a horse. Have you ever read Blood Meridian?
No.
The Cormac McCarthy novel. There's almost elements of El Topo and Cormac McCarthy. There's the character called the Judge. Mm-hmm. Oh, you need to. I think everyone listening to this podcast should read Blood Meridian.
Yeah.
It's incredible, an amazing book.
It's definitely one I wouldn't mind checking out.
Yeah, it can be hard at times. It's grotesque violence the whole way through.
Yeah.
Do you do a lot of reading?
Not so much anymore, but I used to. There was a phase where it was like, it's like what we were saying with skating. It comes and goes. There's times when like I'll stockpile on books, knowing that I'm not going to read them right there and then. Yeah. But then I am going to read them. But I used to love reading science books, like anything like that. Obviously started off on the basic like History of Time by Hawking. And then there's one by like Shinke Uengo or something. That can
be pretty challenging.
Called like time and outer space and stuff like that. I used to love reading that stuff.
Carlos Rovelli is a modern sort of physicist. And he's quite a philosopher as well. And The Order of Time's really good by him. It's really good. I really enjoyed that. I read that sort of semi-recently. So. A lot of physics stuff's pretty interesting. Getting into some
physics blows your mind. I was a random offshoot story of that. Stephen Hawking. I went into HMV in Cambridge in the mid-90s, and he was in there.
What, doing like a signing?
No, he was just in there shopping. It's the day that I bought Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness on CD. Nice. I was just minding my own business.
Isn't it funny how you remember that? You remember that?
Yeah, and then I turned around, I was like, oh, that's Stephen Hawking. And
Did you talk to him?
No, because I was just like, oh, it's him.
Yeah, but I walked past. Harry Hill walked past me last week.
No way.
In the Tate, me and my mate Jack went to the Tate.
Yeah.
And he walked past, and he nodded. He looked at me, and I looked at him.
And you were like,
and he
was like, that's a great question.
Smart. Yeah, I thought.
Yeah.
He's like that.
Well, he lives on my wall.
Well, supposedly he lives in my town in Whitstable.
Yeah.
Which doesn't surprise me. And I was going to be like, oh, excuse me, like, and he's going to get ready for the whole. Oh, you live in Whitstable instead of like, you're Harry Hill. I've seen you about.
Was he like? I guess he was just in normal.
Just normal clothes, yeah. But he had a weird.
Isn't he like a doctor by trade?
I don't know. I don't know much about him.
Or can you Google that, Fraser? Well, I'm sure he did something. He was either a teacher or a doctor or something before doing comedy.
Yeah.
Maybe. So I don't really know much about him.
Funny dude.
Yeah, TV Burt was a pretty good idea for a series.
Yeah,
that was quite funny, wasn't it? Yeah. Had moments of it in it.
Talking about random encounters, Richard Hawley lives up north. He did a song called Tonight the Streets Are Ours, if you know that.
No.
The
sounds like a Blitz song or something.
But I was working at Slugger at the time, and I was stood outside the front, I think, smoking. And I could see him, and I was like, I'm sure that's Richard Hawley. We'd just seen him like play live as well. And he walked past, and I just went, Richard! Oi! Richard! And he turned around and just went...
Yeah,
and just walked off, and I was just like,
yeah, cheers, mate.
I was like, yeah, I deserve that. Like, I mean, anyone shouting your name in the street, you're always like,
well, unless it's a mate, hey,
yeah, all right, boy,
yeah.
Right, shall we jump? Shall we start the podcast?
That was a good little. I like that. That was a good. Random fucking
set sail into the abyss.
Talking. Do you want to go through questions one by one?
We can have a little look through. I think, firstly, maybe a lot of people know, but the nickname questions.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
It's
what
funny.
age? Go into detail. Take your time.
Well, so I guess I've always been pretty inquisitive.
Because it's one of the greatest nicknames in skateboarding.
It's all right, isn't it?
It's a good one, isn't it?
It is good.
It could have been a lot worse, couldn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I've been called a lot worse. But no, I just super enthusiastic about things, I guess, as a kid. Just inquisitive about, and I still ask thousands of questions daily. And
well, I've been around you when we did we'll talk about it later, but the little heroin trip, me, you, Malik, Dave, and when Malik was doing the front blunt, and there was just that guy sat there drinking, being a bit like, ugh, but then like 10 minutes later, you were sat down having a full-on convo with him, and it like calmed him down, and you just spoke to him for ages. That was near your neck of the woods as well, yeah.
Rightly,
But sorry, yeah, continue.
Because so I just growing up asking loads of questions, even since, you know, as a little kid I was pretty inquisitive about things. I thought about the other day, where did it start? Jacques Cousteau book, man. This Jacques Cousteau book I rented from the library. I remember when we were in school, you know, 6 or 7, and we all got a library card, and we all got to the library to rent a book. And I got a marine biology one about Jacques Cousteau, and looking through that and just being so excited about, you know, how mysterious the world is. Mm-hmm. So maybe my inquisitiveness maybe has started there. But then the dog, I had 2 Alsatians, my mum had 2 Alsatians, and I couldn't find the book one night. We had it for a week. And I was, you know, where is it? I don't know. And I was searching the house. And we used to have these dogs that slept out in a shed. And I went down in the shed, and the book was just ripped to shreds. And that was 70s book. And I was crying. That was almost the first sense of like trouble that was coming towards me. And I was so scared. And my mum had to take me down to the library, and they were like, it's fine.
The old classic, my dog ate my homework. My dog
classic.
My dog ate the library book.
Yeah.
Did they believe it?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. So, well, I think they did. I don't know. But that's why Whitstable Library shut down, the loss of that book.
Was it? Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? Is that
So
where you
one
grew
of
up
the
then,
original Shakespeare sonnets like dog got hold of.
Is that where you're from?
Yeah, Whitstable.
And you still live there now, right?
Yeah, I moved away. I've come back, but I'm now a property owner. I bought a place here. So
Nice.
Is it close to where your mum's was? Because where your mum's area was, it was so nice when we visited. It was such...
Well, it's sea salt, so it's quite desolate.
Yeah, it was just
like
at the end,
the marshes.
like at the end of the road, kind of quiet on its own.
Yeah, it was. I find area.
That was a good trip. I enjoyed that. It was really fun.
It was good, wasn't it? I remember that was when my mum was she became ill. Yeah, she was good.
Your mum was rad.
Quite a resilient woman, you know. Yeah, so I'm from Whitstable. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm from Whitstable originally. Sorry.
It's all right, dude.
I haven't thought about it for a while.
You want to stop for a minute?
No, it's fine. Yeah, so I grew up in Whitstable. I moved to London when I was like 18 or 19 to go to Camberwell. And then finished Camberwell, went out to America. That was the first time I went to America for 3 months, like £100 in my account.
What year was that?
Amazing. 2019 or 18.
Oh,
no, that's not the first time. That was like the second or third time. I went to New York for, you know, like a week or whatever, or 2 weeks or whatever it was.
With £100?
No, I went to America for 3 months for £100.
How'd you manage that?
Hitchhiked.
Yeah.
Stole noodles. You know, skaters, we're good, we're resilient.
What do you reckon to New York? Because it's like...
It's just a bigger version of London.
It's just London, isn't it, on speed?
If you're London is a matchbox, New York's the shoebox, isn't it? It's just a bigger version.
Yeah.
So sorry, back to the questions thing. I'm diverting off already. So yeah, super inquisitive as a kid, and then I started skating. There was a few years into skating. There was a skate shop in Whitstable called I&I, and we just used to go in there all the time, just obsessed, you know, because. Again, I guess it was, you don't really think, you know, someone like you who's skating in the 80s, you would have known how it was, you know, when you were all the older guys. We used to get shit all the time. There was no skaters around. I kind of feel like even when I started skating, it was still, you know, still get shit all the time. And still, there weren't loads of skaters around. So there's a skate shop in your hometown. So it's like,
yeah, 100%.
I&I, owned by this guy called Sam Devine, and we used to go in there all the time. And he was, you know, it was at the beginning of, I remember my first influence in skating was, I got like the propaganda video. And I always loved old skating straight off the bat. And I remember getting that and just being obsessed. And then I got, and obviously Sam's a 80s dude. And he was like, I remember when that come out. And he loved Jim Theobald. And he was like, yeah, you got to see Jim's ramp jam. So like I lent that on video, and it was just like, whoa, all these skaters going. So I guess I'm from the era of like the Logic videos and 411 and stuff. Yeah. And as just being a skater, you just sort of like consume all of it, don't you? Yeah. Anything that comes your way.
When it gets in your blood, that's it.
And then the DC video comes out and you love that. You just love it all. And I used to ask so many questions. Like, what wheels would he have? If he was doing that trick, how would you set you? And he was like, fuck me. He's like, you asked a lot of questions. We're cool your questions. And so it started there, right? Yeah. And then what was nuts is so then when I was 16, just travelling around skating loads, I met Stu Smith from Lovenskate.
Yeah.
And he was like, not too long into knowing him, he was like, questions, you ask loads of questions. It's 2 people who give it to me.
Yeah.
So, you know.
It's a good nickname.
Yeah, it's not a bad one, is it? Yeah,
No, it's really good. So you mentioned you still living in Whitstable.
Yep, still living there. Can't get rid of it.
Swimming
Swimming a
regularly?
lot, yeah.
healthy
5 times a week.
lifestyle. 5 times a week?
Yeah, I swim.
In the sea?
No, I don't swim in the sea. I swim in the pool because I like to keep lengths.
Where is Whitstable? It's at Kent, isn't it?
Yeah, it's, yeah.
Are you near the coast at all?
Yeah, I'm on the
Right,
on the
okay,
coast, yeah.
right, got it.
Such a
I
good-
thought it was.
It's famous
Such
for
a-
oysters. That's what it's famous for.
Such a
Do you like
fucking good
oysters?
area.
I had them grilled. I know. So there's a family called the Greens that basically own all of Whitstable, and they're like oyster merchants.
Yeah.
So yeah, to eat them raw are pretty.
I don't like the idea of that. I've never had that.
It's like a mouthful of snot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty. But
never been one
grilled,
for 'em.
when you grill them, they're incredible. They're amazing. Yeah. So they give me oysters quite a lot. I deliver logs and take scrap metal and stuff on them. So.
So is
They
that what
always
you do?
give me
That's
a
your
bit.
job?
Yeah. I'm a man of many traits, you know. Turn in the hand. But mainly, I worked out in the woods for years. I was a forester, by
Right.
trade or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that's
I
what
work-
I wanted to go on to.
Yeah, I just work for tree surgeon. I don't usually really like working for people, but the guy I work with is amazing. Incredible guy. Really, really good guy to work with.
Changes your opinion sometimes.
Yeah, and he's just good. He's just really passive and really sort of, he never gets a yum. But I get more stressed than he does. We leave a chainsaw at a job or something. He's like, oh, for fuck's sake. He's like, well, it don't matter, does it? He's like that with everything.
Yeah, that's rad.
And it's amazing. I think that's a real quality, a real amazing quality to not, lose your
Not
temper.
give a fuck.
Yeah, it's
When you
amazing.
don't need to give a
It's
fuck.
amazing, isn't it? Yeah. So
That's
I work
just
with
being
him.
chill, isn't it, I guess?
Yeah, it is. It's just
I
mellow.
can't do that.
I go through waves.
Yeah.
I'm quite erratic. I think I'm a worrier. I sort of worry about stuff that don't need to be
Oh,
worried
I'm really
about.
good at worrying.
It's but what's
I'm
the point?
professional at it.
It's nuts, isn't it?
I
Because you
can
think
worry about everything.
I try and have the analogy of like,
I'm worrying now about what I just said about worrying.
yeah, it's mad, it's mad, isn't it? But it's funny because like I don't know. You take this conversation for example. In 100 years, it will be over and we'll all be gone.
Don't matter, does it?
So why are we worrying about it now?
Yeah.
In the long grand scheme
I
of
was
things.
I was talking about this recently to someone, and they were saying it was Charlie Spalzini. He was saying that he's a worrier,
Spellzini.
and I was
A
saying
warrior.
that, and I was saying that like I used to worry quite a lot, but then a load of things happened in life where I was like, the things that I was worrying about. So the serious stuff that happened, like illnesses, whatever,
Yeah.
like family issues. When you look at the things you were about before that were
Nothing,
like
yeah.
job or
Of
like
course.
something in life that's not going to affect your health or people you know.
It doesn't matter.
After that, I just started being like, right, if I'm worrying about this now, it's my mum always said if you're worrying now, you're worrying twice.
Yeah, you just think, yeah, whatever.
Maybe it's a later in life thing, but I can't say that really because you say you worry about everything.
Oh,
No,
but
because
I
when
think
you're a
it's-
kid, you don't worry about anything.
Yeah,
It's
but where does it
responsibility.
change?
That's what I mean, that's
is
the-
it when you get older?
Yeah.
I think it's when you start having jobs
Yeah,
and you
and
get
the
your first
requirements.
telling off or fired or lose a job. I think it ingrains it in your head that
Or it's just things like worrying about money and about bills and about this, or I need to do that. And, it's just. But then when you've done it and it's done and it's over, yeah,
Something else to worry about then.
yeah. You worry then, do you say?
I'm worried. There would always be something to worry
Worried
about.
about that. You
Worried
don't know
about
what's
that
living
fucking
in
tree.
it.
worried about the tree.
It's going to fall on me.
Might
kill
be
me.
I don't think the tree's going
be
to
a
kill
boa
you.
constrictor in that.
I've got-
Invisible one.
I've got some interesting questions here. The first one, which we ask everyone: have you seen a UFO?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, dude.
He's been
Strap
waiting.
in. Let's go.
He's
Yes, finally.
I've seen loads of weird stuff.
All right, tell us about UFOs first, because there's more of this.
Well, let's go between that and ghosts then.
What are we doing first? UFO guys.
I'll just do UFO first.
Let's do
'cause
UFO because everyone
I've
that's
got
come
a
on is
feeling-
like, nah, I've never seen
I've
one.
got a feeling.
I have.
I've got a feeling the ghost story might be a bit more
I've
interesting.
got loads, man.
Yeah, come on, let's do UFO first.
No, UFOs. You've got to think UFO is an unidentified flying object, isn't
Yeah.
it? So it might not necessarily be an alien.
All right.
Yeah.
Might be a bit of like coloured card or something. So I've seen loads of stuff flying around. That's it. No, me and my friend were sitting on the beach once, and I saw like an oblong circle shape made of circles that were all spinning. And it was spinning around in the sky, and we were sitting there like, what is that?
Yeah.
And then, but what was strange about it, it wasn't like, there was no routine in it. It wasn't like a repetitious pattern of where it was like vom,
Sporadic.
vom, vom. You know what I mean? It was like, yes, really sporadic in
Yeah.
its movements. And then we sat there for like half an hour just watching it. It was like, what is that?
half an hour always seems to be the time that people
Yeah, half an hour is
I
really
saw this UFO
realistic
for half hour.
It's realistically about 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I like a bit of stargazing anyway, because
Yeah.
saying about physics and time and just looking up and being like, there's where I live. Luckily, it's really dark, and on a clear night, even just taking binoculars up and getting accustomed to, it's amazing. It's incredible. It's amazing. I was never interested in space before, but
Yeah, my brother's an astrophysicist.
oh, amazing,
and
incredible.
like the stuff he's spoken to me about over the years about stuff.
Can't even comprehend it.
He worked on that the CERN underground particle collider thing in Switzerland for years. He worked on that, but some of the shit he does is just
It is
brain can't-
mind blowing.
Yeah.
It is so
I can't
hard to
comprehend
can't even comprehend any.
It's just endless, isn't it?
Full my fault in it.
So you've seen a UFO?
So and then my friend in America, America's good for it.
Yeah.
Me and Rogie.
Area 51, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been there.
Is
We
it,
went there.
is it 51?
Area
Ros-
51, yeah.
Roswell.
Is it not like Area 50 or any of the ones before that? Is it just Area 51?
Area 32.
Yeah, is
It's a nightclub in Shoreditch.
Is that like is that like the little Audi version of Area 51 when it's lower than that?
I feel like you're not taking
You're
this
the-
topic seriously.
Come on, you're the one who knows about this shit.
Is it? If you know about it,
Phrase as well.
If-
Yeah,
Fraser-
I'm a bit obsessed with it, to be honest.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's not Roswell, is it? Is it just down?
Roswell's in New Mexico.
So is Area 51.
Area 51 is Nevada.
Nevada, yeah.
Oh, is it?
Nevada
Yeah,
desert.
I think it's near in the deserts between Las Vegas somewhere, that kind of area.
Right, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've been to Roswell.
Oh yeah.
Have you
seen
seen
the
the
aliens there?
McDonald's there?
I've not seen the McDonald's, but I know they've got loads
Google
of like
it, man.
UFO
It's
tourists.
UFO.
Yeah.
It's a big UFO. Roswell's an interesting place. Like pushing aside all the crap tourism, the whole area. I've never seen. This is such a strange way to describe it. I've never seen such a dry, light blue sky ever than New Mexico when we were there in December. Incredible, really amazing sort of landscapes. And me and Rogie and Steve Mallet were driving a bit of Route 66 years ago.
Yeah.
And as we were driving, and I hope Rogie will remember this, there were these like balls of red light
Can you phone him up and see?
that were
get him on-
emerging. Yeah, we could do, couldn't we?
Phone him up and say, "Do you remember?"
They were emerging and they were like exploding in like weird, like slow motion, and then just disappearing. And we watched that for ages because it was on the road and we were driving. They kept coming up, and it was like, "What is that?" And he tried to Google, like military sort of activity in the area.
Yeah.
God knows what they were. Could have just been flares or something, but they were pretty strange. And then my other friend in America, my friend Loon, he said when he was a kid, he saw this shape that was like a light that made a staircase, and then just was like boom and just disappeared. I was like, "Well, that's nuts." And then one of my friends, Clive, saw it in like the 50s when he was a kid in England. So you almost see these like repetitious.
When I was a kid, it was like,
I
I think we spoke about it on the previous one, proper cliche, but I put it in the family group chat to make sure that I wasn't just, because if my mum and my brother who were there also say like, we remember, you don't feel as stupid, in case you mention it. But we were just walking somewhere, broad daylight, because Toby always says, why do freaky things happen at night, like ghosts and whatnot?
Yeah, but stuff happens in the day, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And we were like walking, and it was like your classic triangle shape, but not pointed. It was like flat down, kind of weird. And it was just slowly moving, dead slow, and then all of a sudden just went.
Just disappears.
And at the time,
it's so weird, isn't it?
At the time, my mum was saying, probably just because we were kids, just like it's probably just a military plane or something. But something like 20 years later, I said to her, "Do you remember this day on this road near this roundabout?" And her and my brother were just like clear as day. Like, there's so many things in life you forget, even if it's a big event. But something like that for a split second,
It just
because you
stays
don't
with
see
you.
it. And I can still literally picture it to the day where I was, where my mum was, and my brother, and they
Strange when
confirmed
you
it.
start thinking about things that you're not really sure if are real. You ever get them sort of memories?
Yeah,
Where
you
you're
don't
not
know
really.
if something's happened.
I remember this strange memory as a kid, and there was like an alley that was pretty sinister looking where I lived. And sometimes we'd go down it to go to school. And I always remember just a set of hands in this alley, just hands, nothing else. And I always think about it. Was that real? Did I imagine that? Was that a dream? Was
What, floating?
Yeah, just like stationary hands. So strange, yeah. And you think, like, what was that? Just, somewhere my brain has contrived that. And
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
And if
Yeah,
you
it's
did
really
think
strange.
about it or imagined it, why?
Yeah, where does that come from?
Like, yeah, where's the thought process behind that?
That leads us on to ghost stories.
Ghost stories.
Let's hear it.
Good ones.
Ghost stories and working in the woods.
Oh man, I've got a few.
Let's hear them all.
Oh,
So
yeah,
before my mum died, just like not too long before, a month before she was ill or whatever. You come to my mum's house. I don't know if you remember it well, but my bedroom was there. There was a
Picture
bathroom
perfect.
there.
Single floor.
Yeah, just
like,
a little bungalow.
Big layout.
And then she used to fucking get up and smoke in the conservatory. And I remember getting up when I was working in the woods pretty early, 5:30, 6. Sort of got straight up, went into the bathroom, washed my face, brushed my teeth, had a piss or whatever. And as I walked out the door, this old woman, like all crooked over, just shuffled past me. And I moved back, like, whoa. And it went into my room. But it wasn't my mum, it was like an old woman in rags.
Did you actually feel them touch you?
Yeah, it was kind of, I stepped out of the way, like, whoa.
But did it actually touch you?
No, I don't. Yeah, that's a good one. I don't
What was the
remember.
light like? Was it daylight or?
That was like a light was on. It was like probably in the. That's a good question. It wasn't dark. It wasn't light. It was just a morning sort of.
Yeah.
It's probably maybe autumn. No, it wouldn't be autumn. 'Cause it'd be pitch black at 6, wouldn't it? It was just getting light, whatever season it was.
Yeah.
So she went in, and the door was half ajar, and just sort of floated behind the door. And then I stopped. So I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Mum." And she was like, "What?" And she was in the conservatory. And I was like, "What?" And then I went in my room. There's no one in there. I was like, "What?" That was well weird. And I went in. I was like, just so like I swear to some old woman just walked past me. She said, I've seen her loads of times. It's not even bothered. My mum had loads because she used to work in old people's homes. Just to tell me how eerie it was.
That is.
But yeah, it was super weird. It was super like, well, that's really weird. And the same thing happened.
Did you see her face or anything?
No, it was
Proper
kind of
hunched
just
over
yeah,
away
just
so you couldn't-
just some old like peasant-looking woman, just like scrambling past. And it's not like it's an old bungalow, You know, my girlfriend's always like, "Yeah, I swear my house is haunted." It's like, well, your house was built in like the 80s, and your family the only people to live in it. You know? So,
Yeah.
but then you don't know. It could be the English Civil War ground.
Yeah,
or something,
yeah.
And that's always interesting because you think of the time scale of ghosts and how long they may last. And I remember reading a book about the paranormal, and it was an old 70s book. So that was, 40 years ago. Is that right? 50 years ago? But it's funny because people in that are saying like, yeah, I saw this like weird knight in armour, this apparition of a knight in armour. So you think, that could be from, like, I don't know, 1500s. But then you think, how long does that ghost fade out before,
Does it
is
mean
it only a
ghosts have
generation?
An expiration date?
Yeah, is it a generational thing, Because no one said about seeing this ghost since the early 70s or whatever.
Can you Google that, producer Fraser? Do ghosts expire? Can
So,
you Google that?
I don't think there'll be a website that has a valid answer.
If you don't,
Because our classic. See, so he's upset someone in the nether world.
That's a ghost coming out of me then.
Ectoplasm, isn't it? You've seen those crazy old photos when they used to do that.
Yeah.
You've seen that cool.
explosion everywhere.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Explosion.
But then I don't know. Again, thinking science based, you think the ghosts exist? I don't know.
That's the hardest thing, isn't
There's
it?
energies that exist, and there's different things that we may not. Makes it more fun believing in ghosts. I've got a friend who's super like, no, they don't exist, and it's kind of boring. It's kind
Yeah,
of
super
because when you
cut
get out, when you're younger, you're scared. You run up the stairs and don't want to look behind you. When you get older, you don't really do that, do you? There's nothing to be scared of apart from like the tax man or getting beaten up for mouthing someone off or something.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun to be scared of the unknown as an adult. So. But another time, the good story. Me and my friend Drew were in it was one of the first times I was in America. And we went from into Canada. I went to Vancouver. I met him, and we hitchhiked down to San Francisco. So a fair
Long.
number distance.
Yeah.
And we met these two girls, and they were driving down to Oregon. So we're in Oregon, and it was pretty cold. I remember it was like October, so it was getting pretty chilly. And we just had sleeping bags. We never had tents. And these girls wanted to pay to stay in like one of those like RV parks. And my mate Drew was like, yeah, fuck it, we're just going to find somewhere and we'll sleep somewhere. So it's this sleepy old like Oregon logging town. There's nothing around, no big cities or towns near it. And I remember it was like, must have been 1 a.m. or something. And we skated. I remember we were skating for fucking ages, for like 40 minutes, an hour, just down this one straight road. And we got to like this big field. And he was like, yeah, let's sleep here. It's relatively like clear night. Let's sleep here. So we had our boards, had loads of clothing on, big jackets and just a sleeping bags. And we set up. And I remember, again, super clear night. I was just looking up at the stars. And just, you know, and you just sort of just fading off, dazing off. And as I shut my eyes, I saw this sort of, I don't know, something passed my vision. I didn't think anything of it. And as I opened my eyes, my friend Drew was sitting up, like, next to me. And he was like breathing super heavy. I was like, what's the matter? He's like, fuck. He's like, fuck, did you see that? Did you see that? And I was like, oh yeah, I think I saw. I was all like daisy, like, yeah, I think I saw something. He's like, it's fucking some dude just walked over me. And I was like, what? And I was like, and he's like, some fucking dude. He's like, a guy just walked across me. And I was like, you sure? And then I started getting worried, like, well, are you sure? I was like, no, it might have been a raccoon or some sort of mammal or something. And he's like, no, it's a man. He's like, I looked up, the man looked down at me and stood on my chest and walked over me. So by this point, I was like, fuck, we were out of sleeve mags, we got a board. Like, and he was like really panicked.
Yeah.
And then over this field, there was just like nothing. There was a tree in like one of the sort of the far end of the field. And we were like looking around. I was like, fucking hell, fuck, like, what? And as I looked over, like scanning, it was kind of, like I say, because it was clear, it was like moonlit. There was a silhouette of a fucking guy crouching down. And my friend Drew was like, fuck, that's him. And I was like, fucking hell, that's a dude. I was like, what do we do? I was like, right, fuck, we get the boards and we just fucking mark. You know, I was like really scared. Yeah. I was like, we just mark, there's two of us, we got boards. I was like, we just march up to him, we just be like, what? What the fuck's the problem? What, bruv? No, yeah. So as we started walking, I'm not shitting you, as we started sort of like pacing over, this man or whatever it was just disappeared. And we fucking shit ourselves. And I've never skated so fast in my life.
You walked across the
we
field
saw him,
him,
and he was like crouching.
So what was the field? Was there like, was it a crops in it? Was it pretty flat?
No, it was just a like, just sort of, it wasn't even a pasture. It was just like a green.
Yeah. And then so the dude, how far away from you, do you reckon?
Oh man,
the dude.
Probably a little further than this room, you know.
Right.
In a good distance to be able to see him and see it as a silhouette of a man. Crouching.
And he was.
Could you see like the details of him, or was it just like
no? It was
purely
just like
the silhouette?
a silhouette.
Yeah. So many times it's just silhouettes.
And then we went, but it was like, because my friend had seen him, he said he looked up and saw it was a man, and it stood on his chest. It was like, I felt the whole weight of a man, 1 foot on my chest.
Did you go to where you thought he was and see any footprints or anything like that?
No, nothing. No, we were fucking like horrified. So like I said, we started marching over, and it just disappeared. It wasn't like it moved or
you saw it disappear.
It just went, and it was like, what? And then we fucking skated so fast back, woke the girls up like fuck, and they're all shooken up. What's going on? And we sat up all night in the car, like fucking locked in the car, just like. Fucking, it was like just going over and over. Yeah. And when I went to Nova Scotia, that's where my friend Drew lives now. And I was like, do you remember that? And he was like, I think about it every day. I always think. Like,
that's pretty gnarly. You trod on his chest.
Super weird.
So the light, we were saying like twilight, like nighttime.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. Fucking ghosts again.
They're always.
Why don't they come out in the daytime?
But I have seen one in light as well.
Let's see this.
Right again. Right, I used to ride to the local co-op and get picked up by my mate. And this is when I was working in the woods, but I didn't drive and stuff. And it was the other side of Kent, so we'd leave at 5, 6 in the morning. And I remember there's a bridge that when you come down to Whitstable, there's a railway bridge, and there's a blind bend on it that goes up the road. And the only thing there is a tyre shop, and there's no houses up the road until like. You know, again, the distance in this room doubled. There's first houses or whatever. And I saw this old figure, like an old bloke, and he was just shuffling it along, like super slow. And I was riding my bike towards him, and just as I got to him, he just turned around the blind corner. Don't even think about it. I was like, first thing is just like a bloke getting a paper in the morning. And as I rode past, like, so I rode just up to him as he just passed around the corner. And I looked, and then fucking double checked, he was just gone. And I was like, what? And I stopped in the road and was like, what? Where the fuck is that dude just gone? And then I was like, well, it's pretty weird that someone's out getting a paper at fucking like 5 in the morning because hardly anywhere's open. Yeah. And I just stood in the road for like 1 or 2 minutes, like not you're not scared. You're just like, what was that?
It's just a shot. It's just like,
and the way that he was shuffling as well, like a super old, decrepit old sort of figure.
Yeah. Like the one that was in your mum's house.
Yeah, fuck, maybe it's following me around. It's probably in here somewhere. Make sure I ain't under the table.
So
he sat over there. Oh, it's Gough Sean.
Yeah, weird.
Gough
Isn't
Sean's
it?
like, what, like from a ghost point of view,
Here we go.
No, you got to think about this differently.
What was he wearing?
No, but like, what was the ghost getting out of that? Why did he decide, if he decides,
Well,
They
lot of
often
people
say the
appear then?
spirits can be like
It's just an entity living.
in a
previous.
parallel universe.
Yeah.
Well, have you heard of the stone tape theory?
Yeah,
Where
yeah, I've been
there
reading
are like
about that.
residual memories that are like
Yeah.
stay
And
in
also-
the
What's this?
land.
I don't know
It's
about
called
it.
the stone tape theory.
Have you got your
The theory
microphone
is-
on?
Yeah, I've got my microphone on.
Good.
And the theory is basically that like when people like die or there's like high points of like emotionality in certain places, it can imprint on the land. And when people go to those places in like high states of like higher consciousness, kind of, they can like see these like imprints, and that's one of the theories of what
Incredible.
ghosts are.
Yeah, 'cause I always think about that because, like, you know, as going back to physics and science, everything's built of atoms and energy. And so you do think, you know, a ghost isn't essentially just like some apparition from another. It's just energies, isn't it? And you know, sometimes you can go somewhere and feel like, oh, I don't know about it anymore, or I feel sort of uncomfortable.
Yeah, you get
It can be any. And they say spirits are unfinished business. Maybe he's just been walking around for centuries trying to find a paper.
Yeah.
But he goes out at the wrong time because none of the shops.
Fucking hell, it's R4 again.
I've been doing this since fucking 1898. Yeah.
There's a thing about time slips as well.
Yeah, I always find that quite interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know much about it, but
Yeah, but there's a good podcast called Uncanny, which is like British
I've
people.
got my notebook because Robbie write this down. You know.
It's ghost stories told by the people who experience it, all British ones.
And it's funny because I'm not some. I don't want people to listen and think like he's just some fucking whacker that believes in ghosts. You know, Zombie.
Yeah.
Should ask the story about when his dad died and he slept in one of the rooms at his house. And I can't remember the story, but he basically said he felt like sleep paralysis style, locked down. And he was on an air mattress, and he said it just fell to the ground, and he was shit himself. I can't remember the details of the story, and everyone, you know, a lot of people have these sort of stories or these weird unknown happenings, don't they? So, but like I say, don't get me as some fucking weird paranormal bloke that goes around with weird crystals and stuff. 'Cause I'm not.
Oh,
but
no.
it's interesting. It's all part
I
of the
think
human
it's-
condition.
I think-
Is it just the state that we get in to sort of try and, you know?
Some people
Question.
think it is to kind of like soften the blow of loss or
Yeah, it can be.
Stuff like
Because another
that.
story, which is really weird. My mum was full of these stories. She said one night we lived in this house on Wind Road that was quite big, and I remember there it was this Victorian room, and their room was like massive. It was quite a pretty creepy house actually. It was an old schoolhouse, and gutted. I always knew that there was a basement under the stairs. And I never went in there, and I always regret that. I always think I should knock on the door and be like, do you know there's a... Anyway, she said one night she woke up and my dad was sitting on the end of the bed talking to himself. Mm-hmm. And she was like, Jack, what's going on? Who are you talking to? And I think his mate was called Clary Woods or something. And he's like, yeah, Clary's sitting here. And then my mum was like, there's no one there, Jack. And then he said, yeah, I better go to bed now, but I'll see you soon. And it was a week later he was diagnosed with cancer. So things like that are super strange, aren't they?
It's weird, isn't it? You'd think that if it was something to do with energy and things like that, that we would know more about it.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, this is turning into a
Well,
fucking
ghost fucking podcast.
We should do an
I'm
off.
Wait, I got a good
I'm
one
loving it.
before you go.
Go on.
I used to see this. I've seen this woman a few years ago, and I was in the car with her, and we were driving through Blaine, and it was all dark. It's all wooded, and she talking about ghosts. This one made me feel, I've got a super gnarly one. It's not a ghost story though, but
no, but keep them going.
So
because
she said,
me
when
and
her
Toby have wanted this for 3 seasons.
she was like, I was in the hospital and my nan was dying, and she was at that state of peace where, you know, you're just sort of going. And then she said she sat up and she was all like hysterical, and she was like, my mum was sitting on the end of the bed, and the nan was like, get off, I'm not ready to go, I'm not going. And she was like, my mum could feel something pulling at her ankles. Like she felt like a force like pulling her. Sick demons pulling her to hell, man. Sick.
Fucking hell.
Super sick. I'll tell you one creepy story and then we move on. So my friend Logan told me this one. I remember when he told... Yeah, and I remember when he told us to it in North Dakota, and we were sleeping in the prairies. And again, super creepy, really, really open, vast land, winds that I've never experienced
At night?
before. Yeah,
Right.
super dark. And he was like,
You're
yeah,
really disappointed by anything happens
I
at
just
night.
want a
aren't you?
ghost.
yeah, but this is this isn't a night story, but it was told at night. And he was like, yeah, one of my friend's mums, like a real avid hiker, and she's travelled all over the world hiking. And she was like, and she took a month off work or whatever, and she went to hike the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah.
And as you know, the vast mountainous region where, you know, you cannot see anyone for like days and days and days. So she was walking this route, and this was in the 80s, well before phones and stuff. And she took a month doing it, and she said she wouldn't see people for like, she was like, there was one point where it was like 11 days and she never saw anyone. And she had all her stuff, and she was just wild camping, you know, so camp all, you know, walk all day and then camp in the evening. And she said that when she got back, she had a couple of like point and shoot cameras, and she took all these different photos of like the botany and the landscape and, you know, old, like sort of those old cabins that are left out there and stuff. She going through all her photos. She then found about 3 or 4 different photos of her asleep alone in her tent. And you just think like, fuck that, innit? Like someone was following her.
Yeah.
That is creepy, innit?
That's
super weird. And she done it with nobody. And like I said, she'd seen no one. And then she was going through it, and it was like, whoa, what, like what?
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. Imagine
That's the start of a horror film.
Yeah, that
You know
is
what I mean?
just... But they're crazy. I know a lot about that region. I'm quite fascinated. And the history of that region and the people and the settlers and stuff. And it seems like it can be quite eerie, quite strange, you know, because it's so vast and desolate, rural, you know, so...
Well, right, should we go back to skateboarding?
Yeah.
Sorry, before we move off that, I
here we
just
go.
want to go
Ford's
back
got
on the
another one.
question. It's when me and Craig were with each
Okay,
other.
go
So
on.
do you want to chill out? Fucking hell.
Hang on, can I just have a cough?
Have a cough and relax.
I think it's turning into a chest infection. I can hear my lungs bubbling away. That
Chest
really
infection.
It's
Chest infection podcast.
Oh, that really hurt. What did you just do on my shoulder then?
I knocked you back as you were coughing. But anyway, do you remember that time on the trip when we were sat in your conservatory and you were like, I've got a story. I can't remember how it went, but you was like, it was something like a bloke killed a woman and then seen a woman at a restaurant with the ring.
ring. Yeah, I was thinking of...
And like, because when you were telling that story, I was like, I was going to write in it, he's going to try and get us. And by the end of this story, you said it so well. Me and Dave were like this, like leaning in.
No, don't say him, because if anyone's listening to the podcast, I'm not going to be able to tell it in the future.
Cut that bit out.
Yeah,
We can't put that in.
But we'll cut it out. But basically,
No, put it in if you want.
we were like leaning in, and Craig were like, yeah, this fella's like looking at the ring, and he's like, I know that ring. And she goes, you fucking killed me. And me and Dave were there, and we were like, and Mallet were like, ah! Like fucking screamed so loud. And when you were telling that story then of that woman, I was like, he's gonna fucking.
This is coming.
I was gonna write it on here, like, be prepared.
Yeah, I thought about it.
He's possibly gonna fucking do
Try
a
and
fright. He's gonna do a scared to us. But
Yeah.
oh man, good times.
There's some notes on here about you collecting human teeth and finding 3 dead bodies.
Fucking free, about 8, man.
Oh, it's
About
gone up.
8, all right.
Let's come back.
It's gone up in the last
Do
month.
you want
I was just working as a mercenary, you see. So I saw a few.
Do you want to talk about finding dead bodies?
Yeah, always, man.
All right. What's the first one you found?
First body I saw was probably my nan dead. My mum had this weird tradition of keeping, like when someone died in the family. Not that there's loads of deaths because we've got a small, non-existent family now. My nan died, and my mum had her in an open casket in the front room for like a week. It's kind of like a weird Victorian, and she done it
Yeah,
for my
I've heard of
dad
that.
as well. And my nan was a pretty tyrant figure. I could go as far as saying my nan was an evil woman. She was like, she weren't a nice woman. She was horrendous. You know, violent alcoholic, just really bitter. She used to live in, she was a pretty tough woman. She was this little Scottish lady about this big.
Yeah.
And the day she died, she was like 86 and her hair was still jet black. Just like, and, but she was, because I didn't really used to like her, but I used to see her in the coffin, and she was dressed in like this, like really Victorian when I think about it, in like a white sort of veil. But she just looked evil, and I was fucking her scared. I just go down there at night and look at it and just try and scare myself. And she was, she was kind of, she was horrendous. She tried to kill my mum when my mum was a girl. Like strangling her. Yeah, my mum grew up, which my mum wouldn't appreciate this, but my mum grew up in a really domestic sort of, it was a real terrible. And her dad was like, they grew up in this small village in Offsprings between Faversham and Sittingbourne. And her dad come back from the Navy just completely shell-shocked and was like the village drunk. And I think everyone liked him, but he was just a nightmare drunk. Imagine this happened now, right? And then one winter, because he was just banned from all these pubs, he'd just go from pub to pub fighting and just being, a nuisance. And the police, but everyone liked him in the town. I don't think he was a bad guy, he was just pretty damaged. The police collected him one night and they took him to a patch of woods where they used to just leave him to sleep off the drunkenness. And it snowed and he froze to death. Fuck. And you just think, what horrendous,
Yeah.
It's like Geronimo, But yeah, so she grew up with that, and then just a lot of violence. So my nan wasn't a very nice woman. She was horrendous. So to think how horrible she was, to see her dead, she looked quite demonic. So that was like the first one. And my dad died. My dad died of cancer, and he was dying for years and years. It was quite bad. I was about 12. And I remember going into his room one day. He was dying at home, and he was in bed, and he was dead. So that was the first one I saw.
That's gnarly.
Yeah, and then in America, when I was, again, with Logan, all those guys, we drove down the East Coast, and we got into Philadelphia, and we were walking around, and it weren't that late at night, and there was all these like crusty, like train hopper, crusty sort of crust punk kids. And one of them was just laying on the floor on his back, and he was dead. It was like fun. He was all sort of bloated, and his face was like a weird purpley colour, and his eyes all rolled back so they were white. And I was like, and they were all fucked, all strung out on heroin or whatever. And I was like, your buddy needs help. And this girl got up, sort of stole it. She sort of was like, fuck off, just leave him, he's fine, because they don't want the police to come. But there was one guy with him, and he was like crying, he was in a panic. And the girl was like, just fuck you. And I was like, well, yeah, all right, fuck you then. And I walked off. I got a few steps up the road, and I was with Logan and all those guys, and they were kind of like fucking, and I was like, man, I think I could help that guy actually. So I've run back. And I said to his friend, I was like, right, what we need to do? I was like, I'll give him CPR, because I'd done it through first aid forestry. And I was like, I'll give him CPR. I didn't really want to do the mouth to mouth, because he was all sick everywhere. I was like, you grab his nose, push his head back, just gives him 2-3 big breaths, and I tell you. And everything goes out your head, didn't it? So I got over, and I was fucking doing it, really giving it some, quite hard. I don't know how many I'd done, and it always changes. I never remember the ratios. And I was like, give him 2 breaths now, and he did it. And I felt I'd give him like a set of 15, really, because you have to lock the hands. And, you have to really. So you have to break the sternum. And I was doing it, and I was like, right, give it. It's quite dramatic, isn't it? So I feel we didn't dig into it. I thought this was about skateboarding, this podcast.
Just about it's a lifestyle.
So I give him 15. I was like, give him 2 breaths, and he did it. And then through the next 15, I got to halfway through, 6 or 7. And I saw his eye started flickering, and it come back round. It was just looking at me, and both eyes, and it was like, it was nuts. He was like, and his fucking chest rose up. And he was just like, and I coughed a load of shit up and was like, and started breathing, and his heart was going like mental. So I was just like, fucking hell. So I just sat over him and by this time my mate Logan or whoever had called the ambulance and the police, and I just sat on top of him. I was like, right, I'm there in case he goes again. And then they come, and the policeman come and was all like, and I was like, right, I've given him like 2 or 3 sets of compressions, and his heart's going again. And the policeman's like, just get out of the way. Didn't even know what to do. And then all the fire brigade come, and they shot him with insulin, and they got him up and stuff. But it was an amazing feeling. And my friend, the guy hugged me at the end. I was like, he was so sort of like sincere, and
He saved his life.
Yeah. I know the guy who was friends with him. This guy was still in there. But
Well,
he was
hopefully
like, thank you so much, thank you so much. And I sort of just walked around. I was like, fuck, that was pretty mental.
All you can hope is that something like that changed there.
He's probably dead now. He probably overdosed 2 days later.
Sean's face on that whole story was just like, I wish we had a camera. I kept looking, and he was like,
but yeah, it's pretty mental. So,
yeah, you've told me that one before.
Yeah,
that's fucking insane.
And then I was on the Orkney Islands.
Yeah.
I think I might have told you this, because I've got the human finger at my house, haven't I?
Yeah.
I showed you it. So I've got a human finger at mine.
Whose finger?
I don't know.
Where'd you find it?
So I was on the Orkney Islands, me and my friend, on hiking holiday.
Yeah.
And we were walking on one of the beaches, and I don't know if you know the Orkney Islands on top of Scotland.
Yeah.
They're so remote. You're on the edge of the earth when you're there.
Yeah.
And we were walking on one of the northern islands, and I'm just walking down the beach, and there was just a rib cage and a spine.
Oh.
And it was like, whoa, look at that. That's nuts. And it was all like, it didn't have any flesh. It was like cartilage, and like it was dried.
Yeah.
It was like yellow.
Yeah.
And as I was walking further, it's like, fucking hell, and there was just a hand. And it was like, what? And then my friend was like, this girl I used to knock around with years ago was kind of like, Jesus, like, what? That's human. And I got all excited. I was like, when would you ever find a human fucking hand?
Yeah.
So I just snapped one of the fingers off and kept it.
So
and she was like, what? How are you going to keep that? I was like, how couldn't you keep that? And then we rung.
So
some
just
woman.
a skeleton of the hand?
Yeah, and the skeleton. And I don't even know how there was anyone on the island, but this one woman happened to walk past on her dogs, like Scottish lady. And I was like, yeah, we found this. And she was like, I'm not going to try and do an impression. She's like, I was going to try and do like Div Adams impression then. But yeah, she was just like, oh, Jesus, like, I'll call my husband. And then her husband come and he's like, we better call the local policeman who come on like a bike or whatever.
Yeah.
And the policeman was like, yeah, it's probably human. Loads of them wash up here all the time. I just weren't even fakes because it's so far up north. Isn't it? But Wales, you know, when it was really annoying. It was quite, I wouldn't say frustrating. It makes me sound that to be quite unsympathetic. But a few months before we went, I was talking to one of the guys that works in one of the hotels on the island. Which, you know, there's not many of them. And he was like, yeah, like just a month ago, a sperm whale washed up here. And it was like, whoa. And I was like, that must have been incredible to see. And he was like, yeah, I chipped all the teeth out, took the teeth. Yeah. Which is nuts because obviously people buy them for scrimshaw and they're worth. Yeah. But yeah, that was, you know, to see that would be.
I guess because it is so remote and there's probably a lot of fishing boats and stuff that go around there, and if someone falls overboard, what can you do? Just the fish eat him, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. And but this thing might have been floating around in the sea for 200 years. Yeah. You don't know, you know. And because I know a lot of sort of like war enthusiasts and beachcombers go there and they find loads of old sort of memorabilia and things, paraphernalia, whatever the word is.
That could probably lead on to, I think I was on the phone to you ages ago, or I ran into
probably a few more in between that as well that I can't remember about.
And you said, did you find, correct me if I'm wrong, did you find like an animal head and try to boil the flesh off it?
Like, yeah, I used to do that years ago.
Yeah.
Isn't there some kind of acid you can get? You put it in that and it just eats away. And then
probably. I should have knew that.
One of my old neighbours.
Instead of trying to boil it with your potatoes on a Sunday.
I've done it. Well, I found a dead cat and I cut the head off it. You know my first heroin board? It's got the green thing. It's got the cat's head on a platter. That's the reference to that.
Yeah.
I thought about this the other day and I thought, Jesus, if I did that, how inhumane was I when I was 19? And I found a dead cat in Peckham and it was like, fucking hell. And I took it back to my student residence in a bag, in a Tesco's bag. It stank. And I cut the head off with like a steak knife. And I cut like two of the legs off and the tail. And I didn't want to boil it in one of them because I wanted the skull. Because I was going through this whole phase of, really interesting taxidermy and, looking at all these old textbooks and things. And me and my friend Dan Singer, who's features in Blokes, my good friend I grew up with, Dan, me and him were doing it. And he found a dead squirrel once and he boiled it all down and he preserved every bone and tried to build it all back. And it was quite amazing. Like, what would be the word? I can't remember the word, the structure of skeleton. What is
Anatomically correct?
Anatomically, it would have been 100% incorrect. It looked more like an alien. But it was an amazing effort,
Yeah. Is it done in the credits of Blokes when Jack's like, he's like, how do I look? And then you're like, look like someone's just smashed in your mum's head. And he's like...
Dan got... Yeah, what did he say? Yeah, because I always remember that. So I thought, when last time I watched it ages ago, I sort of laughed to myself because I'm like...
Because I showed some of the Americans...
I was like, someone smashed your mum's face in, Dan. You're not going like carp fishing.
Yeah, that's
Dan.
Because he's like that. And
he's quite funny because he used to get sort of disrupted by weird things. There's a bit when someone, I think Jake's cutting that head, and Dan's like, whose hair is that?
Whose hair?
But you think like he's cutting some old fucking sheep's like eyes out.
Yeah, like really hacking it.
You're worried about hair.
Whose hair is that?
Yeah, He's
sick, man.
Yeah, he's rad. But we used to drive around, ride around on our bikes. It was like, and collect dead insects and, things like that, just interested. So anyway, I got this, I didn't want to boil the head in one of our cooking pots. So I went across to the students that were out, that the doors were open. I just took their big stewing pot and I boiled this cut down and it fucking, it was just revolting. I could find a picture of it. I've got a picture of me holding it. But
do you want to see that?
It's got to go on the episode.
Oh, it's going to take ages. We'll do it. I'll find it and we can do it. Yeah.
Mate, what did I buy when we were in Hastings? What was that big?
It's a goat skull, wasn't it?
Oh, let me show you this.
It was in Hitchin. On the way down to Hastings, we stopped at Hitchin.
Let me show you this.
There was like a coffee van by the handrail spot. And there's some dude who just brought his van down and had a load of like antiques. He had like a petrol engine radio controlled helicopter, massive.
Wow!
Look at that fucking.
Oh it's like a dude.
That's massive. Like I've got a small one next to my computer. Though, with like
Jack
four horns.
Jack Lammers from Blokes.
And that is fucking all the teeth.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, I'm not going to get rid of it.
Zombie's got a load because you find him in Staffordshire.
Yeah.
I think that I should know this because my
Zombie stew.
I shouldn't. I think there's 6 species of deer in this country. Someone's going to be like, no, there's not. I think there's 6. So, but
Fraser?
I'm on it.
Jack Lammas could probably tell you what skull that is. He's amazing at identification.
There is 6
Amazing
species
artist as well.
in the British countryside, yeah.
Can we read them out? Roe?
Red deer, roe deer, truly indigenous, fallow deer were almost certainly introduced by the Normans, and there's 3 Asiatic species: Reeves's, muntjac, Chinese water deer, and Sika deer.
I can't think of one of the
19th
large, but
century.
yeah, maybe. Well, I'm saying that could be European.
This shit's like
huge, yeah.
It had to sit in the back of Toby's car on the whole trip, and I like seat belted it in. I was like, "Don't damage it."
Yeah, no, they're cool. They're
and
cool.
like you see all the small like bones,
All
and
the
you can wobble the teeth. And they're like,
yeah.
And do they when they get them and get the skull and whatever, do they coat it in something like?
That's what I was saying. I think there's an
small
acid.
brown-
They must have varnished it in some.
Yeah, because these small brown little entrails like round it,
Yeah.
like it's like.
Because when you look at one of my friends in America, he's one of the parks. He works for the parks. God, he's like a why can't I think of the word?
Was it like a
Outdoor
national
ranger,
reserve?
park ranger.
Yeah, like.
But he fishes a lot of stuff, and he collects horns and skulls, and he's got like a whole wall just full. So this whole preservation's on how to keep them. But then bone keeps for years. It depends.
Yeah.
doesn't it?
I'd be sick to bring that in and have it up here on the wall.
Oh, there's a mantle.
I've got some small ones at home. Maybe we can stop.
We can get Brett to do a 3D.
Yeah.
print.
I had so much of that stuff, so much of it. And then when I was at Camberwell, my final show was I catalogued everything, and I made books of every drawing, and then every Latin name of every species, and I had Cabinet of Curiosities. I had the cabinet in my final show with all the skulls and all the insects, because I'd travel quite heavily by this point, so I've been to all over South America and Europe, and I remember in South America in Bolivia. I'm going to get this wrong now. It's either Peru or Bolivia. They have these witch markets. They have this festival called Pachamama, in which they burn things as a sacrifice to,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I want to meet a new man, or I want a new car, or I want to have a pay, whatever it is they want, they can burn things for sacrifice. And the one thing they burn is lemur fetuses.
Is it La Paz, Bolivia?
Yeah, maybe so. Is it coming up?
That was the first thing that came up on the Google search, and there's pictures of loads of dead animals.
It looks like Indiana Jones style, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I bought a load of stuff from there, and you could buy like
How
hands
did you get
and
it back?
tortoises.
Because that sort of
God
shit.
knows how, but I did. I just put it in my bag.
Yeah,
wrapped in
'cause
toilet paper or
There's,
something.
they do that a lot now. It's like anything
You
like
can't
that.
bring anything
you
over
can't.
because of disease.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I had this massive display of all this stuff. So yeah, I done the cat's head. I put the pot back after it. It was revolting. It stank.
Yeah.
I thought about this the other day, and I thought that was quite an inhumane thing. So, you don't, when you're 19, you don't think that. But then when you get older, you think, man, that was someone's family pet, and they would have missed it. You don't think of it like that, do you? And
Yeah,
boiled
times
it.
times
yeah, I
change.
just think, Jesus, but
Well, times change, don't they? So
You rode for Lovenskate, didn't you?
yeah.
Talk to us
yeah.
about that.
I remember that. I remember the video.
Talk to
Yeah,
us
oh
about
man, it
that.
was amazing. I love Stu so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, we had him on. He's a rad guy.
He's incredible.
He's one for
of the-
aliens. And
He's one of the best dudes in skateboarding, without a doubt. And he's a real good friend, a really good friend. So he
He's a good egg, isn't he?
when I was younger, I was like 15 or something, 14, 15. I don't really think about this actually. No, mate, I was 15, 16, I think. I went to this comp thing in Rochester, which is an indoor skate park, and he was there. And I knew about Lovenskate, knew about the screen printing, and skated. And I remember skating. So I don't know. I remember this quite well. I wore a grey hoodie with the hood up all day in the summer, and I sweated profusely, and it was soaking wet. And there's a skater from he's from Ashford, called Chris Marsh. Do you know that guy? But he rips. He's amazing, incredible skateboarder.
Big up
And-
Chris Marsh.
Yeah, he's an amazing skater, and he was there, and he was younger. And I remember he only told me this the other day, but I remember there was a kid who was like in his, it's like a skate comp, and it was his first comp or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm saying like I'm a skater, like a comp skater. It's not the only one I've ever been in. And he was super nervous, and he just fell to his knees and puked up everywhere.
What, from nerves?
Yeah, and I thought it was super funny. I always remembered that. And then we were talking the other day, and he's like, "You remember when because we were talking like, oh man, how long have I known you? Where was the first time we met?" And he was like, "Yeah, that comp, I was the kid that puked." I was like, mental, crazy. So yeah,
We met at a comp in Skegness.
Really?
It was just
that would have been the first
U-
time.
It was just a UK ramp champs.
Yeah, I remember. Me and Jake went.
If I can remember I can't remember the date, but I remember Kate's clown board that we usually have hanging up just came out because he was skating that.
Yeah.
And I just rocked up like dead enthusiastic with a VX in my hand, and I was like, that guy's skating how I wish I could skate. And like I remember the video, I was like, you were stood there and I had the camera, and you turn around and you just go, "Oi!" and start like punching towards the camera, and then we went out to the concrete quarter and just had a skate.
I remember that because I remember that night it was like again raining. It was like real miserable.
Yeah.
And then on the beach there's like one of those like kids soft play things, you know, with the balls and the slides. Yeah. And me and Jake whipped netting in, and we went in it, and we were sliding down a slide in the fucking pissing rain, soaked. And the police come. I'm not exaggerating. We hid under the balls, just laid with the balls around. They left. And I just remember that. I remember that. That was years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it must have been 2012 or 13. And
seeing Ben Devine skate that ramp.
I can remember I put up I did like a little video, like recap, and you put it on your blog, and I can remember just being well stoked.
Oh, really? Jeez. Yeah.
Yeah, you did like a poem or song lyrics under it as well. Like,
oh, God knows. But I'd have to find it. I have to watch it and be completely embarrassed by it.
I don't think it's online, but the blog post will still have like whatever
the thing. Yeah, that would have been years ago.
Yeah, it must have been 2013, maybe 12.
Oh yeah, you're probably right. I get the 2000 dates mixed up.
Because then not long after that, you did like a baghead graphic where it was like the ghoulish man. And
that's right. Because I would have been about 22 or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I was with Jake Sneddon, and I'd met him when I was about 19 in my first year of uni. So,
yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And he wrote, if I remember, oh man, was it that? I remember we were skating the park after everyone had left. I think it was that park. And you know when you get like the box that goes up, along and down?
Uh-huh.
You know, at the
one in Excite.
Yeah. So you know, like there's the bit of wood, and you could wally out of it into the bank.
Yeah.
You can't. You know, I'm just using that as an example. It's like that, and it goes up. I remember Jake was bombing towards it. I don't even know how he did it, and he like, I think it was there. He hit something, and he fell with his back against the block like that. It scorpioned him.
Yeah.
Going full speed. It was
Reverse
so
scorpion.
yeah, it was so. I don't even know how that's possible. I've never seen anyone do it. It was quite gnarly. And that's what. And I remember he bonused off the big bit into a small bit, like rolled his ankle or something.
I can remember that same event, and I've never seen him since. At that same Skeggy event.
Yeah, I bet it's a trick he done that's just amazing that you never see him do ever.
There was this was another skateboarder there that just disappeared called Arbel.
Yeah. Oh, that guy was nuts.
Where's Arbel?
And he used to do.
Is he Welsh?
Yeah, I don't know because I don't really know him, but he used to do that mental axle back disaster. Like,
He went up on
so
the extension.
fast.
On the extension when he used to have the cutout, and he'd come up, back 50 it, and then smack it to the
really gnarly.
Arbel Sansonoff or something. Or
Yeah, is he like O'Reilly?
But after that, went.
Yeah, all the Welsh dudes still. I'm sure Jake Collins or Socks or any of them dudes could tell you about him. But yeah, he ripped, didn't he? I mean, Max Rotten was quite fond of him. Quite good friends with him. Yeah,
that was like witchcraft time as well.
There's so many of them that just come and gone, isn't there? But yeah, he was pretty good.
And watching Jake skate in person for the first time, I was like...
Was it there? People always take him wrong. Jake's a good dude, really. Sometimes it makes me sad with like, I think, I don't know, people think he's something that he's not. I've known him since for years.
Yeah.
Jake's a very loyal, very, very loyal person.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of good traits, and he really, if he had his last fiver, he'd give you £3 of it. Do you know, he's that sort of dude.
I think I met him same time at Skegness actually.
Yeah.
At that UK Ramp Champs. You, Dan, Snelling, Arbel.
Yeah.
They were just all there, and I was like, fucking hell, this is rad.
Nuts, yeah.
And it seemed like skating at that time, everyone was gnarly. Like gnarly rad, you know what I mean? It wasn't very like ledge, tech and all this. Everyone was just on that ramp going.
I just remember all those
nuts.
Welsh dudes.
Yeah.
And then I remember there was a period where Dennis Lynn was hanging out in Welsh dudes, and he was nuts. He was so good. They're all because
those competitions used to go wild. Those UK
it was
Ramp
quite
Champs.
good just watching and seeing him.
Divine, Daryl were like the dynamic duo.
Daryl Nobbs was fucking seriously good. Like because I used to skate with him, like before I met Jake, he went out with this girl and she lived in Kent. So he used to come and skate Swale Cliff, and that's when I met him. And just being the way that he used to just used to smack the tail, big lean to tails and body jars and stuff. And he was well good. And then we fell out over something that you can't even remember what it was because it was nothing. And then Daryl's wicked. I didn't see him for years. And then, but yeah, he was super good skater. Yeah, all them dudes. Yeah. But I always felt a bit like intimidated by him because I can't keep up with them.
That's what I was just about to say. Watching Daryl and Ben when they used to come to the boardroom on like a late Wednesday when it had like the bowl gap and then the mini ramp, and they'd just be they'd be going around the bowl, then back three in.
Yeah, just stuff like that.
And
you'd
stand there and just be like, I'm not doing a layback on the mini ramp whilst these guys are fucking Daryl's going up the wall and pulling it in.
And even the way they could all just do like fucking Mayday grinds doing 100 miles an hour. Yeah. Everyone could just do it. It's kind of like, I could scrape one that'd be pretty shit.
Yeah.
But then everyone does a good trick, innit? Like some people
what's that one? Mayday
grinds.
Yeah, they're
do them good.
Yeah, they're super
so
good.
Jealous of that.
Yeah, it's a scary
pure stand-up one.
When I try and do it, I just hang up. I used to do the really weak sliding down shit.
It's weird, isn't it? You know, there's certain tricks you've done and there's certain tricks that you can do. That's a trick that I've done. I went for a stage of doing them. I could do them quite long, but never do them. Never.
The only one that I've ever done, I've got the video on my phone. I seen it in an old barrier cult video. You go up so it's not a Mayday. It's just like a pivot fakie.
Yeah.
But you go up and you grab it behind you and pull it in.
What, and yank it in? Yeah. That is hard.
I've only ever done one.
Jason Jesse.
Yeah, and on the video I'll show you after, but like I'm actually balanced in it and you see me crouch down really slow because I'm like, oop. I saw
used to do them.
I saw those barrier cult guys do them first.
Yeah, it's like a Jason Jesse thing. They used to do them. Yeah. I've done them backside, but grab them in the out. Yeah. Backside to faking.
Yeah.
Pivot fakies, yeah. Sometimes I still do them, but
pivot fake is a good trick, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know when
fast.
people get up on them and
Alan, I'll tell you the best one. Alan Peterson, I can't remember what consolidated video it is. Does one in that U-pipe thing in Australia, and he gets up on it and he sits on it, completely on top of it, and it freezes and it says his name, and he goes. He does like 3 of them in a row, but not like that. Like
stood up on it.
But then, each to his own how you do it.
Some people do them so good. I say it to Sean, and it's the same with Blender doing the 50-50 to fakie. Some people do them so good. Yeah, that's a
wicked trick.
Some people do them so good, it looks like you've reversed the footage.
That's a good observation,
Yeah, that's why I always say to Sean, we flip out on that trick that Blender does it on the street style video. He just goes up.
Yeah, it is. It's funny you say
goes
that.
It's a good observation. Bang, and it looks like someone's just rewound it.
Ben Plum's got a good pivot fakie.
Yeah,
Ben Plum, he can all those. I mean,
skates for Heathen and Roller Snake.
But he can do all those kind of fakie into grinds to fakie.
It's gnarly, isn't it? Scary stuff,
just
man.
Real easy. Like
he does front side airs like you're pivoting it on an invisible wall where he goes up completely straight and then turns it completely straight.
Mental.
The Jason Jesse front
style
side
when it's just in that.
Yeah, he's the king of doing that shit.
So you went from Lovenskate to Heroin.
Yeah, so more about Lovenskate. Sorry.
How long was you on Lovenskate for?
Done 16 to 19 or something. 16, 19, a year before the Mayflower.
Such a good sponsor, man.
Before the Mayflower sets out to the Americas.
Yeah. That's a good sponsor any age.
Yeah, amazing. Lovenskate. Yeah, amazing. And I felt really part of something, and I felt really like. I just think Stu's amazing. Everything he does is really from the heart. It's amazing, incredible. And so I rode. So I went to the comp, and I skated, and I met him, and I was more interested because I just started trying to do some screen printing, and I was really interested in that. And I was at college. Yeah, I was about 16, so I was at college, and I was just hammering with questions. Like, what solution? What ink? When you watch screen? And he was like, if you want to come up and do work experience, just come and stay with me. And just stay and we're skating and it was like, oh my God, really? So I went up there and we just got on like fucking house on fire sort of thing. And I went skating with him. Stu can back this one up for him as well because he says about it sometimes. And we went skating that night and I remember there's a road gap that was downhill and I kickflipped it. So I kickflipped the road gap.
Fucking sick.
Stoked. Yeah. But and then he sent me some boards and some shirts, like a big box. It was like, fucking, this is well stoked. He's like, do you want to ride for it? And I was like, mate, it'd be an honour. Yeah. So that was nice.
That's good, isn't it?
I missed you. I miss seeing him. I get a bit emotional, man.
He came in with Lucy. We did a podcast with him. He's a good lad.
Yeah, he's an amazing person. Amazing.
Yeah, and looks after people. That guy.
Yeah, and like I said, really felt like I was something part of it. It was
well, that's what I was going to say when you said that. Like everyone on the team seems to be really like close knit.
Yeah, it's a real sort of
It's a tight crew, isn't it?
Yeah,
He's banging.
Yeah,
He's
good
doing it
bunch.
right. He's
yeah,
doing
he
it right.
is.
He's
And
doing-
it was like the hardest thing to tell him that I wanted to ride for heroin. Because
Yeah.
then I moved to London. I was like 19 and I'd skated with Forde loads. I'd just done heroin board. And as a kid, heroin and death were like my favourite companies ever. Like, I
Still
loved-
to this day, I love Death as well.
just
Zorlak.
rad. It's like it's the epitome of like sort of what you look up to, isn't it? As a young skater, and because I guess it's the difference in there. You have all these different skaters and they're doing different tricks, and it's more relatable. And so I loved heroin, and then obviously met Foss and was skating with him loads, and he asked me, and it was just it's like a childhood dream.
Yeah.
But it was the hardest thing. He's like, man, but loving Stu has done so much for me. And we went to Berlin and I mentioned it, and Stu was kind of like, yeah, I sort of thought that was on the cards.
Yeah, knowing Stu, you probably wished you the best a lot.
Yeah, he'd only
Instead-
want the best for you.
Yeah, he was, because he's
instead of
not.
instead of being like, nah.
No, he's not a dickhead. He sees. I talked to him about like dig sleeving recently,
Yeah.
and he had just there was he couldn't say a bad word. He's like, it's amazing that this young kid's going to fulfil his dream and that's so supportive and amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's rad. Stu's fucking rad.
So I left. I had to go and tell him. I cried when I left.
Yeah.
And but he's still like a really good friend of mine. So yeah, I love it. I love him. I love everything he does. And it's amazing. It was amazing to be part of that. So
Yeah.
it was really rad.
Top 3 blokes in the UK to own a company, Stu. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
greatest blokes.
Without a
He's a good
doubt.
lad, isn't he?
Yeah. He skates
Really nice
good as
dude.
well.
Yeah,
Oh
he
yeah,
rips.
he rips, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he went to South America. That was another thing. That was amazing, right? So I was 18, and he rung me up, and he's like, "Yeah, do you want to go to South America?" But I guess by this point, I've been around Europe and stuff, but that was like, fuck, that's a whole continent of the world that you've never.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Do you want to go?" I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to, but I don't know. Like, I don't how much is it?" And he's like, "Don't worry about all that. I've just ordered you a ticket, so you're coming."
Yeah.
And it was like, what? And he just done. I think it was Nokia. He'd done a big job for. Do you know what I mean? And it's like that's like him, isn't it? He's so selfless.
Yeah.
And that was, so that was amazing. And we went, travelled all down the Andes together. It was so fun.
He said the same
Nearly
thing.
killed him. Fucking, we stayed in the Amazon, and we went out one night, and you advise not to because everything there can kill you. And we were like in this little cove, and we were fucking around, and there was like a bit of wood hanging out of this sort of shrubbery, and I pulled it, and it was a shotgun. And I was like, whoa, like messing around. And as I sort of like threw it back down, he was like, whoa. It was like cocks. It was fucking had 2 shells in it. So I could have easily just blown him to bits.
Did you see any big spiders when you were there?
Fuck
I think,
that.
amazing. I think,
How big we talking?
fuck, bigger than the wall, mate. Yeah. Like men stuck in webs. What's the spider from Lord of the Rings? Shelob.
Yeah.
Is it Shelob?
She-knob.
Shelob.
Fraser.
Fuck knows.
Yeah, is it Shelob in Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, Shelob.
Saw her, met her. No, yeah, because that was the most amazing thing about it. We stand in these cabins, and we had like a small torch at night, and you'd just look, and you'd shine the torch into there, and there'd be a fucking snake. It was just incredible.
Yeah.
And I remember like looking at stuff, and you can almost feel queasy, like fucking anywhere I move, there's something that's whatever we've got here, it's 40 times bigger there.
Yeah.
There was like moths bigger than my hand, and I saw this like big reed coming out of this sort of like bush, and I was like, "Whoa! Imagine that was a leg!" And I got a stick and wobbled it, and it come out, and it was. I think they're called wind spiders, and they've got pinchers like crabs. And this thing, like the diameter of it was like about that big. It was massive. It wasn't a conventional spider in the sense of but it was it was an arachnid. But it was like fucking. It was like a dinner plate. Loads of stuff everywhere. I've seen tarantulas in Texas. I was walking down this sort of ravine, and there was a tree, and I turned around, there was one right there. It was like, fucking hell, this tarantula had like an egg sack under it. It was like the size of a golf ball. And my mate Loon picked it up, and it was like running around his shoulders and that. It was, oh man, my friend Loon, he's the Asian dude in all those dirty dog videos. He's pretty relentless at picking up pretty gnarly stuff.
Yeah.
He picks up a cicada and put it in his mouth. And in the Florida Keys, you have these grasshoppers that are like this big. They're huge. And we were looking at it on the wall, and I was like, I'll try and touch it. And he just picks it up. And it was like, oh mate, he's quite gnarly for stuff.
Yeah,
like
some
that.
people don't care about stuff.
Yeah,
like
he's just
that.
like, yeah, whatever. I think I'm pretty brave with that stuff. But
Oh, not me. I'll stand far away from it.
I did just in America in September when I did prod a rattlesnake with a fishing rod to hear the old. So
Fuck that.
yeah, gnarly stuff. I've seen a lot of stuff. When we drove to Alaska years ago, when we were driving through the Yukon, I think I lost count of like 40 brown bears, like 40 bears, not brown bears, 40 bears that we saw. We just see them so consistently. It was nuts.
Producer Fraser
The
just
photo-
airdropping us pictures of spiders.
I tell you what's more scary.
It's not
than them.
downloaded, but I saw it.
In the south, alligators.
Yeah, fuck
They're
those.
horrendous. Remember we were camping on a bank and one just came out of the water that was like huge. It was like, oh man.
Yeah, you don't want to fuck with those, do you?
No, fuck that. Alligators are a no-no.
Yeah. What year was it you got on heroin, and how long was it till you had a board out?
Oh, I can't even, so I guess it was when I was about 19 or 20.
Yeah.
So that's 2009. I can never remember the 2000 dates. I was 10 in 2000.
Yeah.
So I would have been 19 in 2009. Yeah, that's right. Sometimes I'd be like 19. It'd be like, yeah, that's only like 2 years ago. So 2009.
Yeah.
Because I was at uni and I'd just done the board graphic and Foss asked me to ride for it and I did. And then I don't know when the pro board, I don't know, I can't remember when the pro board come out.
Because you've been on it, it's quite a while.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So what's that, 33, 19, 20?
Well, I've got the, we were talking about it yesterday and it sort of made me think. I've got the cabin series boards hanging up in my living room.
Oh, okay.
And your board's in that.
Yeah.
And I remember I got them off of J-Bone, who had, fuck's sake, the skate shop in Ilkeston. What's it, Sean? What was the Sean? Bonafide?
No.
Yeah, it was.
That's the Baylord. Oh,
It was, yeah, it was.
yeah, Bonafide's
Yeah.
Bonafide.
So when he had the shop in, yeah, but he still runs mail order, and that was probably,
that was a while ago,
yeah, it's got to be like, oh fucking hell, I want to say 10
the
years
original
ago.
cabin.
Maybe.
The original
so.
cabin series, yeah.
Are they the ones I drew or are they the ones at Fosbury?
The
I fucking...
ones Fosbury.
Right.
We were getting really confused because
We weren't, you
he's
were.
got the full white series. No, we both were. And I was like, I think Craig drew some of those and he was like, no, Foz, but there was a cabin series 2.
Yeah, mine's
As
the
well.
cabin series 1.
Yours is the all white
yeah,
and black.
all white. It's Childress, you, and Dear Man. 3 boards.
And Foz.
Right.
No,
Is
there's only 3.
3?
Yeah.
Man,
I might be
can't
wrong.
even
There might be
remember.
more,
I
but I
can't
got
even-
the full series from
I can't even
J-Bone.
remember. But when board come out, yeah.
But that's a long time ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. Let's do
Yeah.
the maths. So say I was 19, I'm 33 now.
Because your first board was Big Baby, weren't it?
Do the maths.
I'm
What is it, 19, you're 33 now?
14, there you go.
14
years.
fucking hell. That's
Jesus,
not,
yeah,
isn't it?
that is a long time. That's a whole life for a 14-year-old. Yeah, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I guess I was really, as I've got older, I've sort of, I don't know, I don't really think about it. So, and some of the boards I don't keep. I've become unsentimental as I've got a little bit older with them.
Have you got one of every one of your pro boards?
No, I got rid of a lot of them. I did have one.
That's
again,
the second one. Sorry, we're just looking at it now. My ones are different.
Okay. So that cabin was where I slept under that. That was the one in the woods I used to work at.
Yeah, I used to work at that
Yeah,
one.
because the first series is the ones near Fozzie's cabin.
Yeah,
aren't
they're
they?
in your. Where's I can't remember what the part of.
You said you've seen a
California
few
is.
spooky things around that cabin when you worked in the woods. Just lights and stuff.
Yeah, I
think
saw a
you said.
light that stayed static for hours, and
Yeah.
it could be eerie. I read a lot of Cormac McCarthy when I was sleeping out there, so I've got to let the imagination go and think I was in the hills of Tennessee or
Yeah.
something.
So you're also riding for Sabbath, yeah?
Yeah.
With Whiston.
Yeah, Rob's great. Rob's amazing.
Lovely dude.
Everything he does, he's Rob, it's really nice meeting Rob. It's like, not that as you get older, you always meeting skaters, but as you get older, sometimes it feels hard to maybe meet friends, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember
100%.
meeting Rob, and Rob was really rad off the bat, and he's great for encouraging someone.
Yeah.
He's full of great encouragement for you, and he can only, he's a really positive dude, Rob, and I'm really thankful for our friendship. And
Yeah.
and it's funny as well because I've never really enjoyed going out shooting photos. I've never really felt that adequate in skating, to be honest. I've never really felt like I'm part of it. But sometimes I'll go out and shoot a photo in London or something, and it would kind of be like, I only feel like I'm shooting it because they've been told to shoot. It's never been.
Yeah.
But whereas with Rob, it really inspires sort of confidence in you, and he wants to shoot photos of you, and that's really nice. I really appreciate that in him. And that photo, you was there, and smacked the board.
The
on
roof
wall.
bash.
It
Yeah.
was kind of just like, oh no, it's a shit. It's a shit. And he was like, no, just do it. And he kind of took me aside and was like, just do it. It will make a good photo.
Yeah, and the footage is really good as well.
Yeah, I wish I'd sort of just, I could have bonused into it or something. But anyway. But then, doing that, and then you see the photo, and you're like, man, I should take your word more often because it is a good, everything I've shot with him, I've been quite stoked with. And because I'm not really that proud of any achievements in skating, but the thing in Skateboard Companion, some of the photos and that I was really sort of
What was it, the
proud of.
accolade?
No, it wasn't. Antidotes.
Antidotes. Antidotes, yeah, that was a good article.
Yeah, and that was nice. That all the photos and that. There's a couple I'm kind of like, I'm just critical of myself.
I need to message Robin. I messaged him a couple of months ago about, so I wanted to post the footage of you doing that wall bash with the photo, but it was like, I'll get it when I go home, and I think we both just forgot.
He hasn't been home for 6 weeks.
But
He's in the South Pole on an expedition at the moment.
But I need to.
He's just left Nantucket on a whaling expedition.
I need to
He'll be
message
back
him.
in 3 years.
I need to message him and get that photo off him so I can upload the footage as well.
Yeah.
That was a good day. That a good little random session.
Yeah,
like me, you.
I remember just getting really stressed out. Classic. And that's another thing. Sometimes when I go shooting photos, I put so much pressure on myself and feel so inadequate. I get super stressed out and I just don't want to do anything. I don't know where this has come from. It's only in later years.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't really ever think about it too much. And sometimes I don't really think about skating so much as I've got older. And and sometimes with Fox, like, you should film a section. And obviously I should because he gives me boards. I ride for his company. But I sort of think, what am I going to film, man? Do you know what I mean? I kind of just feel like, I don't know.
I've been approaching him and saying
it's been hard
we
skating
should
the last few years, actually.
we should do focus Heroin UK and do like questions. Dave, Tom, who else is on Heroin? Pullman, but that'd be like harder because he's injured or he's got like a bad knee.
Yeah.
But I said to him like, look, why don't we just leave it up to me? Like you sort out what you need to your end, but leave it up to me and we'll do like, apart from you, Dave and Tom, and then a montage of the Americans and those dudes in the middle. Not the other way round.
It would be nice. It would be nice to feel a bit more like there was something going on this side.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a big brand, isn't it? And he's, dealing with it over there and stuff. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be, it'd be good, wouldn't it? Because we all fell in, I'm not talking shit now, sounds like I'm probably gonna. We all fell in love, with that old British heroin, didn't we?
Yeah.
And,
it's the
that
best
life
part
from
of it.
Antarctica and everything's going to be all right. And I think the direction of it's changed a lot. But at the same time, you have to change. It couldn't still be the same British band, could it? Brand. Because it would have just, with progression, change pushes progression, doesn't it? So
It
it's
wouldn't be the
changed.
size it is now if it was in the UK. You know what I mean? If he was trying to do it from the UK.
Yeah, and then and sometimes when you look at stuff that doesn't change, it's kind of like, you know what I mean? You have to change, don't you? Things have to.
Yeah.
There's no point in, imagine it was exactly the same, it would just be really boring and you would have seen it for 20 years. Or
Maybe we should group chat and get just me and you in it and Foz and just be like, let's do something.
You
yeah.
might be watching now. It's live,
Yeah,
isn't it?
maybe.
But
I don't
it's,
know,
you know,
depending
it's-
on the time in America.
But it's been, 14 years riding Varian. That's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's a long
that's
time.
rad.
It is. I miss seeing him. Foss is a really good mate. And, when we lived in London, it was wicked.
Yeah.
I skated with him all the time. And meeting Foss was good. He was a hero as a kid, when I was a kid. And, it was really sort of, how can I explain it? It was kind of really innocent skating with Foss. It was really nice. It was like, he'd never talk about like women or going out getting like smashed and dry. It was like hanging out with a fucking 15-year-old in a 35
skate.
He just skated all the time. He just loved eating sweets, and it was good. It was fun. It was really fun, and that's a funny period in life. It was good.
He's rad with that shit.
But I miss him. I guess it's sometimes it just feels there's a distance.
Is it? When did he last come back over here?
Oh, I don't know, it's been a while. I think he come over to do something with his. I think he had a tooth problem or something. It's cheaper to fly over and get like.
Is it?
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? Because dental stuff's so expensive in America. And he come back, and I remember it because it was in Manchester. We met in Manchester, and that Land video had just come out. And I think that's when Tom Day turned pro, if I remember correctly.
Was it Jim Craven?
Jim Craven,
Yeah, amazing videographer he is.
Yeah, really, it's really quite a beautiful still video, isn't it?
Yeah, like with like the soundtrack is just, it feels like a natural kind of open soundtrack.
Yeah, no, it is.
He's done a good job with it.
But I think it was the premiere of that, and we were in Manchester, and it was freezing cold.
And then
Classic. And I remember that was the last time it was over. And I was working in the woods. It was just before Christmas, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
But that was years and years ago.
Yeah, because Tom's been pro for a long time now as
Probably
well.
not much, longer than I have, really.
Yeah.
But I can't remember when the board come out, but it was a while ago.
Yeah.
But I don't want to. I don't know. I almost feel sad saying this. I almost felt like when my board come over, but already as my board come out, I felt quite over skating. I've had this real sort of down transition in it, and I don't know. And now I'm not really. I don't know if it's a thing when you're younger. It's kind of funny when I hang out with Jake and stuff, and Jake's doing really good in skating, isn't he? And he's in like the mags and he does all the Palace stuff and the Blast stuff, and he's really in it, and that's what he wants to do, and he's doing it amazing. And sometimes when I hang out with him, he's like, yeah, fuck it, I'm going to do this thing and I'll get on this, he's quite focused and pushing the bloke stuff. And then it's funny because I feel like I'm almost like just not interested.
Yeah.
And someone, sometimes someone might hit me up and like, yeah, we should do this for the mag, or we should, and I just thought I just don't know if I want it, man.
I think when you get like that, I mean, we spoke a little bit about it earlier about...
It's almost like I don't know if I like the attention as I've got older. I'm not really...
Yeah.
I like it, if I go on a trip, I like being like, making everyone laugh. I love it. But I don't really want to be that guy trying to I don't know, oh yeah, can I get shoes? Can I get on this? I want to do this. I don't know, and I've become anti... I had this conversation with my girlfriend the other day, and I just almost become anti all of it. I just sort of, don't know, it's just
I think
nice
stuff
to
like that,
humbly just exist somewhere rather than be somebody.
Yeah, strip it back to basics.
Yeah, just go back to
Taking it
enjoying
back to
it.
the basics.
Just back to how you first found it. Just do it when you want to do it,
and that's
on your
what it is,
terms, and then just get back into
But
it.
then I say that, and I kind of get down on myself, and feel like, I haven't really done it. But then I think the last 2 years, I've had more photos in the skate mags than I ever have done collectively through the whole.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Because you're probably just doing it on your own accord, like when you
it's-
want to do it and you're having fun doing it again.
And like I say, I guess when you're pushed, like going out with Rob, it's amazing to shoot photos when you feel good about yourself and you kind of want to do it.
Well, it's a
Whereas
photographer
opposed to
and a
going out-
mate as well.
Yeah,
you know
of
what I mean?
course.
It's different.
You got to have the right team behind you.
You have got to have the right
You can't
team.
it's
You
like
can't force it and just be like, well, we're here now, do it.
like this is not a dig at you, and it's going to sound like it is, but I couldn't think of anyone worse to go filming with than you.
Yeah,
Because
the
way
same with you as
yeah,
well.
exactly, because we do it differently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
But
I
you've
do
got-
it properly.
But like what you're saying about Rob, you know, you get on with Rob, and that's
And he pushes you, and it's
Yeah,
great.
in
but
the
then
right way.
Yeah, and you don't want it to be some weird biased thing where it's like, yeah, he's only in the max because he knows the photographer. Do you know? There's an element of that, isn't it? And then you feel guilty about that. Like, am I only in it because I know the guy there? But then I've always felt really, it's funny, man, my philosophy on skating and stuff. And people take skating pretty serious, didn't they? And they're like, when I filmed this video part, I was working on this, and when I was doing that, and but I've never even gone out to film. I don't even know how to film a video part. I don't even know what a line is. How many tricks it counts as a line, or how
more
many?
than two.
Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Is
So-
two a line?
and then I sort of, I
Gosh,
guess it
Sean
is,
says
isn't it?
two's a line.
So then I think when I look at my, say, supposedly achievements of skating, like, yeah, what's your favourite video part? It's like, none of them. They're all terrible. Because I've never gone out to film. I've just got a clip here and there, and it's been merged in. I've never gone out with a direction.
You've not had the mentality of
No.
like a list of spots and tricks to do at the spots.
And you obviously do, being a skater, it's a classic, and I still do it now. You write tricks down you think of. Like, yeah, imagine that. I'll write that down so I forget it otherwise. But I've never gone out and I've never really took it seriously, and I've never like directed it how I want. Or do you know what I mean? And so
anything
then,
we've filmed, it's just been
it's just been
drive to see you.
Yeah, and it's like, I'll do that.
Like there's been a loose idea that like Foz wanted a bit of footage, but it was never like, right, I'm going to come down on Thursday, leave Tuesday, let's get 3 tricks each day.
Yeah, and I even think skaters kind of take things quite serious. And even the idea of having a spot, man, America's terrible for it. Like, they'd be like, yeah, I'm going to go to this spot, I'm going to do this trick, and then that's it. And it's like, I remember I stayed in this house in Long Beach, and there was a bunch of dudes that rode for Foundation, and they were all really rad dudes, super funny. This was early years of going to America where I was just drinking all the time, and we'd go and I got thrown out of every bar in Long Beach. Just sleeping with copious amounts of women, drinking, all just being a wanker, really. And all these dudes, I remember there was like a wall ride thing there, a coffee shop just down the road. It wouldn't even be counted as a spot. And I was like, let's all skate that. And they're like, oh, I don't know, dude, we're not got like a film or like a photographer, so we're not going to skate today. And it's that weird attitude. It's like, and my ideology of skating is still from quite an innocent perspective of, say, a 13-year-old, where you just go skating all day.
Yeah.
And you don't go to spots, you just find spots, and it's just,
Skate around. And
But sadly, I think the innocence can be lost in skating as you get older. especially then when you're involved in it, and you hear all these weird stories, like American pro dudes being like, yeah, he put a chain across that rail so no one else could skate. And then you start thinking, that's pretty weird.
Elijah Bell.
I don't know. I just...
Apparently it's like a curved rail in the street and he board slid it and then someone went there after he'd shot a photo and he put a bike lock around it.
It's just stuff like that. And you hear all these weird, you know, and that classic like ABD thing as well. Like
ABD.
I think
Yeah.
that started
ABD.
kind of disappearing in skating now.
it has done now.
Because
We're
there's
in
so
the most,
many people skating, you've seen so much
I
footage.
think we're in
it's like-
such a diverse period of skating where everything's acceptable. So when I grew up,
It's like Zorlak said, the best era of skating is now. You know what I mean? In terms of like what you can do, your freedom.
yeah, you got freedom to do whatever you want. And,
Yeah.
you know, like when I was a kid, I sound like some old fucking skate granddad now. But it's like, you know, when I was a kid, you couldn't buy a board any bigger than 8 in a skate shop.
Yeah.
Now you can't find a board fucking like
Less than
smaller
8,
than 9,
2,
or you know what I mean? It's like, but yeah, so it is diverse at the moment, isn't it? And it's just so much of it there. And I think it's funny, like, you know, as you get older, your opinions change. And I was so set in my ways as a younger skater. If someone was like, you know, what do you think of skating being in the Olympics? I'd be like, see, it's fucking shit. It's only for diehards.
Yeah, I think we've all
Like,
been
you know,
there.
but now it's kind of like, well, it's quite amazing because anything you're giving to the broad masses is going to inspire more confidence in that activity. So, you know, if the skating's in the Olympics and it's going to put loads more money into skating, there's going to be loads more parks and it's going to be more it's like, yeah, that's great. That's a positive.
Yeah.
And it's even funny with the Olympics thing because I started thinking about this in depth, and you know, my ideology of skating's a lot different to, you know, some people. You know, I like old 80s stuff and I like wall rides. I love all that stuff, and that's my stuff. I mean,
Tim Jackson,
yeah, of course, the master,
the raddest.
yeah, the best skater ever. And then, but when I talk to like, I don't know, talk to some like 12-year-old vert skater kid, they're like, yeah, I just believe in comps and you've got to do this and you've got to be regimented. And there would have been a time I was like, that ain't skating. But then you think, well, it's all skating and that's their thing and that's what they're into.
Yeah.
And then all the manual dudes, and that's what's beautiful about it.
Yeah.
Because imagine it's like fascism. Imagine it was just like, no, skating is just wall rides and Vans eye tops and hardcore. It's like, imagine everyone skated, there would be no diversity. It'd be so fucking boring, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's in the best place it's been now.
It is. It really is. It's
I think when you get older, you learn to look at positives and negatives. You know,
As
whereas before
opposed
you'd
to
just be
just-
like, years ago, you'd just be like, no, it's shit. Olympic skateboarding
Oh,
is shit.
100%.
Even if someone was like, yeah, but I can pay my bills and not work a job. Yeah, but it's in the Olympics.
but
shit.
you're selling out.
But
It's
now,
like selling out.
now it's like, if someone came up to me and they were like, here's some money, X amount of money, do this in the Olympics, blah, blah, blah. If I could do it, I would.
Of course you
Because
would,
at the end of the day, you got to make money and survive. from it.
Heelys.
Yeah,
45
capitalism.
grand for 6 months.
Heelys, 45 grand.
What's Hill?
Heelys, you know, the footwear with shoes in it. Because Alex DeCuna's now
Footwear
pro
with
for
shoes in
Heelys.
it.
Really?
And he gets 45.
Footwear with shoes in it.
He gets 45 grand.
Right,
the
so this
footwear with
don't
wheels
quote
in
me
it.
on this. 45 grand for 6-month contract.
Fucking sign me up. They're downstairs.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, it
Yeah,
don't
of
matter.
course.
It's not going to change you, is it? You
That'd be
still going to
amazing,
do
wouldn't
what
it?
you do.
Fucking buy a house or something.
And like you said,
Well, I don't know where you buy a house
like-
for 45 grand, but
and like you said, if it
Bosnia.
changes,
Rotherham.
if it changes someone's
Donny.
opinion on you,
Yeah.
we're all long gone and forgotten in
It don't
fucking
matter,
Yeah,
does
it
it?
don't matter.
100
Fucking don't
years.
matter. I want to speak to you about interviewing Tony Hawk.
about Solzhenitsyn, interviewing Alexander Solzhenitsyn.
How the fuck did interviewing Tony
Well,
Hawk?
it wasn't even anything, right? So I went, that Phil Evans dude who made that Format Perspective video, you know, that Irish guy?
Yeah.
I was friends with him years ago. I haven't seen him. I saw him briefly recently, but
I love that interview because you can see that you're so excited in yourself because it's Hawk. You're like,
the
you're asking him
Hawkster.
questions. You're asking him questions, and,
Tony
you're
Dogs.
like,
Did you call him the Hawkster?
no, I should have done.
Oh, that would
Or
have been
Big
amazing.
H.
Big H.
Tony
the
Kestrel.
Big H.
Tony Kestrel. No, we went to Vert Attack and he was there.
Yeah.
And it was literally, I just went up to him, I was like, how's it going, man? My mate's making like a documentary thing about skate. Can I interview you? He's like, yeah, sure. It was that. It was just that. And
He's
he
a
was just,
proper skate rat at the end of the day, isn't he, Hawk?
yeah, he's rad. Man, you can't deny that he is rad.
Yeah.
Like, I watched that documentary.
Oh, still to this day, it's
I
amazing.
watched the documentary that wheels come off or whatever it's called. Wheels fall off. And
Sure, the
he still
wheels come
he still rips.
I
man.
did not expect that documentary
What I
to
really
go
liked-
in as depth as it, like the
What I
depth.
really, one of my friends was really critical of it. Said it was just a load of shit, and he was like, "Yeah, they don't go on to like all the divorces he's had." So we'll just go watch EastEnders if you want to know about people.
How many has he had then?
I don't know, 57.
Can you Google that? How many divorces?
Or they were going. I think
Yeah, I think
maybe
it's-
he was, pretty partial to the cocaine back in the day
Yeah,
as well.
bit of the old nose bag.
But You know what I really like about documentaries is a really weird observation, right? Which I kind of like. I think I don't suffer people as much.
3.
Nice.
Three divorces.
3, Sean was right.
Yeah,
I kind of sometimes I feel like I don't suffer people as much as I've got a bit older. And sometimes you get skaters that try and be all weird, and everyone's trying to like, you know, a bit of character in their sort of domain. And Neil Blender's in it, and he's completely normal in it.
Yeah.
And he's not like, you know, sometimes the Gonds can be all like, oh, I'm the guy, you know, sort of, it's kind of like, yeah, we know you are. But Neil Blender's just a really normal, humble dude in it. And he's talking really normal. He doesn't use any weird. Do you know what I mean?
But he was a bit weird, like back in the day.
Well, I'm sure he's just a weird dude.
Like,
He was perceived as weird, wasn't he? But
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
But do you know what I'm trying to? I don't know. It's a weird observation where he's not trying to be like weird or he's
like
he's
a
just
kooky guy.
Yeah,
He's just
yeah,
a
he's
bloke
just a
that
normal
skates.
guy, and he's kind of just talking about
Like Jesse
the
Martinez, just a normal bloke.
Just a
that
normal
just
guy that
skates.
skated, yeah.
Jesse Martinez.
Jesse Martinez.
Jesse Martinez. Yeah, so
Jesse.
that was quite nice. Blender's one of, you know, that is my favourite.
Yeah, he's rad.
Without a
GNS
doubt.
footage.
Ever met
Just-
Blender?
No, never. One of the I've met a fucking lot of them, but Neil Blender's one of the only ones I haven't met. But as I've got older now as well, I'm not that interested. Like, and if I did meet him, I don't think I'd be like, you're my favourite. It'd just be like, oh, you know, I like your skating.
Right,
round
mate. Do you want to skate?
You know,
Yeah.
and it's hard because I feel like not that my enthusiasm's died. I think I just think about so much other stuff these days. And we met Julian Stranger last year, and it was really cool meeting him.
Yeah.
And, you know, I started rattling off, you know, old San Fran skaters and stuff and talking about history. A lot of mainly about old hardcore bands and things as well.
Yeah.
Because San Fran had a pretty good scene. And then, you know, when I left, it was a couple of days later, I was like, fucking hell, I forgot about that dude. Why didn't I ask him about him? Or what's the deal with that? Or where the brain doesn't really fire up as quick because it's not in the, you know, the front of my mind as much as it was. Whereas when me and Jake and Dan met Jake Phelps in in Paris years ago, it's like, yeah, what's the deal with Ken Sigafoose? Or, you know, like Jason Catlin, you're asking all these weird skaters where he
where
probably hasn't
are
even
they?
thought about us for fucking years. And,
Yeah.
and I felt like when I was young, in my younger days, I was like sharp with that.
Yeah.
I still love the history of skating, unbelievably. Yeah.
Who's your favourite 80s skater?
Oh, fucking so many of them.
I'll give us your top 5 then.
And follow that through with favourite 80s tricks.
Yeah, let's talk about the 80s.
I don't know, because what terms is favourite, what style or tricks or... I don't know. It's so hard.
Just someone that
isn't
you could
it?
go back to, what, like... I always watch the Tim Jackson part.
Yeah,
from
of
this.
course.
That's
Tim Jackson.
That's a staple.
But what was sad
part.
about Tim Jackson was he was shrouded in mystery for so long. And it was like, who's this dude from Venice? And no one knew about him. And then there was that Juice magazine, you know, that they pretty good. They released like an interview with him. And I read it and it was kind of like, he's a bit of a dickhead. Like, it's kind of like a bit...
He's been locked up a load of times, hasn't he? Since
Yeah, not that that's, you know, he's obviously his environment and what I think he was a pretty, like a handful. He was like a gangbanger dude. So.
Yeah.
But there's kind of, and that's another thing with when you're young, here's a good example of that, is you build a picture of what you want something to be. So when we and Jake and that, it's kind of embarrassing looking back on it. Me, Jake and Jack and Dan, and we loved Venice. And it was like, it's this rough shithole and they all jam up walls and they're all fucking skating all the time. And Jack used to dress like this Mexican fatto dude, and there's all this shit going on, and we've built up, and every night they'd see suicidal tendencies, and then you go to Venice, and it's like, you skate down the road, and there's like an old woman skating down the road as well, and it's like everyone's got a skateboard, and it's against your morals of what skateboarding is to you.
Yeah.
And then like, I went to Santa Cruz, and you know, as a kid, you worship all those logos and the screaming hand, and you go to Santa Cruz, and like, you can buy Santa Cruz stickers in every single shop, and it's just so plastered in your face. It like loses the integrity a bit.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when I went to Venice, it wasn't the Venice that I wanted it to be. And the Venice that I wanted to be didn't exist because I've created it in my own head.
Yeah.
So then, you know, with Tim Jackson, you kind of think all these things about him, and then you read about him. He's just some dude that was involved in loads of gang culture and stuff. And you kind of like, he probably weren't as, you know, rad as I wanted him to be. But then that's where you're young and impressionable. As you get older, you detach the artist from the art, you know, the skater from the skating.
Yeah.
So you think, well, I appreciate their skating. I don't need to know what his political stance is, or I don't need to know his...
How many divorces he's had.
You just
You know what I
like, you know, you appreciate them for what they do on the board, not like so much. Some people are interesting now, aren't they? Some people you're interested in as a person or their philosophies on things. Or
Have you asked Tony Hawk how many times he's been divorced?
no, we talk about it. I think I asked him, when I think about it, I probably asked him some pretty boring questions.
So Tim Jackson,
Yeah.
one of
So,
your
right,
favourites.
he's up there because he
Come
just...
on, let's get the
amazing.
top 5.
Lee Ralph. is up there.
Don't know. Yeah, he's amazing. He's wicked, isn't he? But then there's so little footage of him and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was. There's so many, man. Like, you put me on the spot because I'm going to say people that I don't ever think about, like ever, and I'm like, well, he ain't really one of my favourites. But like Mike Conroy, like how you seen footage of that guy?
I don't think
Sean
so,
seen
no.
footage of Mike Conroy, the sergeant. Oh my god.
Wasn't he on Santa Cruz?
Yeah, he's in Reason for Living.
Yeah.
Troop. No, what's the one? Reason for Living? Maybe no, he's not in Brisket. I don't know. There's loads. There's like I don't know, but they're like all the weird, obscure ones. That, it was almost like the grade B pros. Like Lucero is well up there.
Yeah.
Because he just everything he done, it's gone like, well, what's that? That's weird. I've never seen that. That's another point that's interesting in skating these days. You can be oversaturated with weirdness, and then it loses its. Like when I'd watch, like Lucero skate, everything he done was like, whoa, that was well weird. Where now you can go on like Instagram, you can watch a kid and he'll do a whole run of tricks you've never seen. It hasn't got that same feel. It's kind of like, boring.
You know whose part blew me away, and I only seen it a couple of years ago? Chad Vott. You know, like his mini ramp stuff.
Yeah,
like he's
unbelievable.
fucking,
He
he's
does
like
like south flip
self-flipped
pivot
it.
fakies and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, it's
But
not
when we
bad.
went out for dinner the other week with Ben, I sat Ben down. I was like, "Watch this," and he was just like,
been on about it,
"Yeah,
And that's
south
what's
flip
weird.
pivot fake."
the video part where he's putting all the milk into the shopping trolley, skating to maybe that's my problem.
Yeah, it's nuts. Oh man, fucking Scott Smiley
Yeah.
in Zero video. I like that dude skating. Scott Stanton, the old Zorlak dude. That guy was fucking
Did you,
amazing. He was like Rob Mertz, but more weirder.
Did you?
Straight edge. dude.
We
He's
spoke
like
about this a long
straight
time ago,
chill.
but the Zorlak video, Zero Hero.
Yeah,
you seen
it's
that?
like 6 hours long.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Aaron Dieter.
Aaron, yeah,
All
yeah.
the- some of those dudes in that, like that was it.
Yeah.
That was their thing with skating, and you never heard from
yeah,
again.
so
And
many.
It was such a good video as
And
well.
it felt like the late 80s, early 90s, so many people were coming up. And it felt like there was people lost. Like, people seemed to get into, like, you know, as Vert was changing, it seemed like there was people that were really good for a few years. That would then, what's his name? Mike Yusufa.
Yeah.
You remember that guy? Have you ever seen footage? Oh, my.
Big dude.
Yeah, and would do fucking 12-foot, like, frontside air to fakie. And I think he was, I had Ravers, that Birdhouse video, and I think he might have been in that. I think he was an early Birdhouse guy, but a few years and he's gone. The guy that became the Muslim, the Vert Skate Room video days, what's his name?
Jordan Richter.
Jordan
Him.
Richter.
He was nuts. Like crazy.
He just took a load of acid, didn't
yeah,
he?
Yeah, and he sort
flipped
of
up.
burnt himself out, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've
But
got
yeah,
him on
so-
Facebook. He posts some fucking weird shit.
Can you just Google that Birdhouse Ravers?
Ravers.
Mike Yusufpour. I'm sure he was in there, wasn't
I
he?
think so.
That rings a bell. I mean, it was Andrew Reynolds and
I haven't seen that for
Jeremy
years. I
Klein.
remember Tony Hawk's wearing a pair of jeans with a well-long ponytail, and he's pushing up to his bank, and I used to think it was so funny. When I
Who
was
are you
a
looking
kid.
for in it?
Mike Yusufpour.
Yeah, he's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, he
that's
was
deep.
he was rad. He
That's
was
some
amazing.
deep knowledge.
There's
right
a
there.
guy in Reason for Living called Jason Monroe. This sort of old, I think he's a San Jose dude. I think he was a friend of Andy Roy when Andy Roy was a kid. And he was kind of one of those, he's either Sacramento or San Jose, but one of those kind of pretty obnoxious wanker punk dudes that you know, you hear all these horror stories of. And JJ Rogers as well.
Yeah.
Ross Goodman is another skater that I'm pretty fond of.
Andy Roy was a fucking
Andy Roy
a
was
good
wicked,
example
man.
of
He
being
was-
like,
Another one who
Yeah, he
like
was wicked.
came up with a video partner and disappeared was Dan Paterka in Hate Street Next Generation. Can you just Google that? Hate Street Next Generation. I'm sure he had the first part, and then you had the Charlie Brown board. Real egg-shaped,
I'm
really
kind of-
egg-shaped
I'm
board.
scratching at that one, man. I don't.
But
know.
he had he came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Ryan Fabry is another one in Plan B. Was in the Plan B video. But Dan, I'm sure that's how you pronounce his name. Dan
That Ben
Paterka.
Job dude in the Hate Street video. I think he's in Shackle Me Not.
Don't know.
He's just got a few tricks like Ben Job, and he does.
Ben Job from London.
No, not that. I
one.
think supposedly that Ben Job from London was called Ben Job because he
After
looked
him.
like
Right,
yeah.
got you.
Oh,
Yeah.
the Godoy brother.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
was it?
Twins.
Art or Steve in that Hate
Ah,
Street
Steve
video?
Godoy.
yeah.
I met one of them.
I think
in,
I think Steve was the surfer. I think Art Godoy was the
But I
skater.
think they were pretty gnarly dudes. I think they were.
Yeah, they
mixed
were-
up.
They had a good tattoo documentary
I
out.
met one of them in Vancouver. And he was like a really nice dude. And he was like stoked, like English skater, asking about all these 80s skates. So I asked him about Pasty, that dude from Brighton, because he rode for their company. And they kicked him off because they got in a big fight or something. But he was like, fuck, you got to meet Jason Jesse, he's my buddy. Here's his number, just ring him. And you think now, like, imagine just ringing, you'd be like, mate, who's this fucking weird English? It's funny, isn't it? And he was just like, Neil Blender's house is here. Just go and knock on the door. It'd be cool with it. And it's just funny. Isn't it?
So sick.
So Dan Paterka.
Had the first part in H Street.
Yeah, and then he had nothing else
It
as far
was
as I'm
Smoke
aware.
on the Water was the song.
He had an amazing board that was like the board that everyone wanted.
Yeah,
and then nothing.
Yeah, and then you look, and then when you start digging into the obscure, you know, I always like the East Coast vert skating because it was like pretty rough and raw.
Yeah.
You look at California, it's all palm trees and blue skies.
Tom Boyle. He was the East Coast.
That dude was rad. And then you look at them dudes, like, they look like pirates, didn't they? They look like frightening, like Craig Johnson. Well, he's from Texas, but you know, when you think of Mike Conroy and all these dudes and Rob Mertz and Scott Stanton, and they all look kind of frightening. And they done all weird tricks. And that's another thing, their boards are all fucked. And I was like them East Coast dudes, but I had a really good one on the tip of my tongue now, and it's gone. That dude from Atlanta, Georgia, Don Hillsman. Remember that guy? Photos of that. I've never really seen too much footage, but the photos of him.
I don't remember that. Sorry,
What the fuck is that?
I don't remember that graphic, but that was around the time when it was slick board, 7.5
That's
wide,
horrible.
egg shaped.
I literally just typed in Dan Paterka Pro Board, and
I mean,
that was
that's
the
probably
only one
worth
that
an
came up.
absolute fortune. That board.
So's the OG James Couch board.
Got the
like,
image
guy
from
in the
Muckman.
cornfields. That was a slick as well.
Yeah, there's just so many, and
Yeah.
there's so many people just come and gone.
Yeah.
Isn't there?
Yeah.
Which can sometimes be sad. No, it's not sad, is it?
Well, Ryan Fabry came out with a part in Questionable Plan B video, and that was it from him.
Yeah, it's weird.
But I
isn't it?
think something went on. I think he fucked someone's girlfriend or something.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know what's going
What,
on.
in the scene? And they blacklisted him? or
Yeah, I
something?
think so.
It's weird. We were skating at school in California. I can't remember. I regret not remembering this guy's name, but this dude come up to me and he was just a really little dude. He was like probably like mid-40s or whatever. And he's like, crazy, you just I used to skate. I was friends with Danny Way and all those guys. I was like, oh, mental. He's like, I rode for H Street. And he lifted his trouser up and he had the H Street logo on his leg.
And it was Dan
And then
Paterka.
it was him. I can't remember. And I googled his name. It was like, oh, or he said about he's got a few tricks in like one of the first H Street videos. I was like, oh, mental, it's that dude. And sometimes in America, you know, you meet people like that, and it's kind of like, what, no. And he's obviously just like, yeah, I skated for a few years, got bored of it, and now I'm into metal detecting or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever he was doing.
Just random shit. Metal detecting.
Are you still running for Gullwing?
No, I ain't voted for him for ages. I don't know what happened. They were so shit.
What?
They
So
were
They were
terrible.
impossible to talk to as well.
No,
I
not
think
going.
Callum
I just-
McRobbie was on him as
I
well.
just mean the
wasn't
trucks were fucking horrendous. So I stayed with Dearman, and so
They had the-
Dearman and his brother, his crazy brother, was like, he's like, yeah, I only like skating from this year to 1983 or whatever. And there was a company called Motor Built, and he bought all the last remaining sets of these trucks that are just so, you know, like obscure and weird. And they rode for Dad Gullwings, and I was like, mental Gullwing, that's rad.
They're the big black barrier culture.
Lee Ralph, you know, old Bill Danforth. No, the Bill Danforth's a fucking tracker guy, isn't he? So he might, that's what I mean, I'm getting mixed up these days. But yeah, all these.
Dearman's pretty rad. He's a nice enough guy.
Yeah, he's rad, man. But and then he was like, you know, the way he's kind of like, you just want to get on. He's kind of a bit nerdy, isn't he?
Who, Dearman?
Yeah, the way he kind of talks.
Him and his
stuff.
brother, but his brother can be quite intimidating.
Have you met his brother?
But I've talked to the guy quite a lot, and he always
Yeah.
sends videos of his brother, and he sent a video a couple of years ago of his brother talking on the phone, and it sounds like he's having a normal conversation,
He's having a dig at someone.
but he's just like
He's
he's
quite
saying it
intense guy.
like really fucking drilling it in.
He's into some dark shit as well. It's quite good
Dark
having a
music,
conversation. Yeah,
kind
he's a lot
of.
of noise stuff and industrial noise stuff.
Yeah,
But I've had some pretty good. When I met him, I had some wicked conversations with him. But they're like encyclopedias of old skate history.
yeah, they
But
are.
really obscure, like the stuff that you know.
Like professors of
Your
skate knowledge.
favourite skater names. But I got on Gullwing, and then I met all them dudes in San Diego like years and years ago, and the guy that was doing Gullwing at the time was rad, and he was just like, he'd give me like more stuff than I could actually carry on a trip, like fucking so much shit.
Yeah,
And then he was like, yeah, there's a travel budget, but you need to do this, this, and this to prove it. And he was like, but fuck it, I'll just say you've done it. And I went down to the bank, and they give me like $700 just in cash, because like off the Gullwing account. And then it was pretty funny, dude. He's one of those American dudes that's like obsessed with British punk.
Yeah.
So he like loved me. And he's like, you know, my like fucking granddad's like quarter Irish, like classic style.
yeah.
So he like loved it.
Yeah,
Because it was Callum McRobbie was on Gullwing.
Yeah,
as
he
well
rode
for
for
it.
it as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so that happened, and I was getting trucks for a couple of years, but they are pretty shit. Like and I'd break them all. I'd snap them in half all the time and stuff.
Were they still the ones that had
the mental space
Yeah.
groove? Yeah, but I never skated them ones. I skated one that
space
just...
groove? Is that?
No, I just made that. That's what it looks like. Because apparently NASA funded...
Yeah. Oh, is that right?
Supposedly.
NASA funded Gullwing Trucks.
This
You
is-
get that?
Apparently this is an
It's a scoop.
Yeah, look it up. Apparently it's an 80 skate conspiracy.
Oh,
But so...
Random what?
Yeah, no, crazy, isn't it?
that's fucking brilliant.
But anyway, so yeah, I just used to ride the ones that look like fake indies. And then
Finders.
this guy, Findies, yeah. And then this guy left, he got sacked because he was like spending all the budget just getting all the skaters weed and beer and stuff. And like,
Nice.
yeah, it's pretty funny. And then he was like, I emailed him like, yeah, can I get some trucks? And some woman like 6 months later was like, oh, you're English, so you have to deal with the European people in Spain. And I emailed them and
Can't get through to them.
yeah, I emailed them once and it was just kind of like, yeah, whatever. I don't even know if I ride, so I don't know if I ride.
I'd rather.
I think, is it J&R Sports? Can you see he does Gullwing in the UK? J&R Sports.
But like I say as well, I wouldn't even want them because they're shit.
Yeah.
Like, so then when I didn't get them for ages, I snapped the last pair. I was like, oh, everyone was banging on about like Ace. So I was like, yeah, I'll get a set of Aces. I set them up and I couldn't believe that turning wasn't a trick in itself. Like, it just felt like you just Gullwings were just so... And then you could just carve around on Aces. I was like, man, this is fucking... this is what skating feels like.
Yeah.
Whereas,
So
yeah,
are you getting Ace now?
no, I don't think... No, well,
Why
I'm
is
not.
Wes
no.
not sorting it out?
I get...
I think he gets them from Leo.
Yeah,
I
Leo
guess if
sent...
he
Yeah,
asks.
Leo sent me some, which was really nice,
Nice.
of him.
Yeah.
So,
Big
yeah.
up, Leo.
Yeah, he's...
Leo Shop.
Yeah,
I
Leo
only
Sharp's
meet him
rad.
very, very briefly, but yeah, I remember him as a kid being a photographer
Leo's
and stuff.
rad.
But sorry, yeah, Leo sent me. He's given me a few sets, which is really nice. I really appreciate it, and they're really good. They're rad.
Yeah.
And then when I went to Canada last year, I went to North Scotia. We went to Marathon Distribution, and the guy, one of the dudes there, was super rad. He's like, "Yeah, you want some aces?" And he gave me like 4 sets of them. So yeah, rad, super good. Yeah, I like them. They're wicked. But leaving my board on the train.
Yeah, that's at the beige. Sorry, riding an SMA. Slick.
at
Let's have a
that.
look.
Leo Sharp, just absolute
Oh
steez.
wow,
That's
that
down to
is
7.
right.
They're long stairs. Big up Leo Sharp.
Yeah.
That's rad.
Is that
Yeah.
loud? Big up Leo Sharp.
Leo's fucking
Is
rad.
that loud? Big up.
Yeah,
that loud?
you've ruined the audio now.
Sorry. Okay.
Big up!
Mike V acoustic gig.
That
Lol.
was just a small little funny
got,
one. You know,
I got
where-
a new add-on to Mike V from the last trip, and we drove. So we went to Illinois, and he lives there.
Yeah.
And my friend's got this thing on his phone because he's like basically a park ranger. He has to do loads of tagging of rare birds and stuff. And he was like, "Yeah, I've got this thing on my phone, and it's just you can put in someone's address and name, or you can put someone's name in and the area they're from." Or the state they're from, and it'll give you their address in case there's like you need to knock on the door and be like, yeah, there's a lesser spotted green woodpecker that I need to. And he looked up Mike V. He's like, no, I found his address. And I was like, what? So anyway, so I've met Mike when I was a kid. Mike V was my favourite skater of all time ever.
Yeah, for a lot of people.
I loved him, and I watched Drive, that documentary. You know, have you seen it? Yeah, so I watched
Where
that.
he's driving and it's all like,
I'm a man of the road.
the road less travelled is the one you spend the most time on.
Yeah, so I met him. No, so I used to watch that and I just loved it and I loved his skating and everything.
Bold
about it.
head era, like
Yeah,
aggro V
yeah,
era.
yeah, aggro Mike V.
Before he went all peaceful and wanted to hide the fact he used to batter people.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So I loved him, and I always used to think like, man, I wonder if I could like break my leg and like get in touch with Mike V and get him to come to Whitstable and skate with me, give me boards. I was like, hopefully I can get.
What, so you wanted to break your leg? So
Yeah, because he used to go and visit. Because in
Yeah,
this
Mike
documentary, he visits like ill children and stuff.
No way.
And I was like, yeah, if I could get ill.
He's really trying to like sort his previous
But so
behaviour out. eh?
so and then
It's personal growth.
so years later, Mike V comes to Whitstable, which is so
Why?
weird.
Why was he there?
Well, because there's this skate charity called the Fire Academy.
Oh,
They do-
yeah.
So that's in Whitstable. So and fuck knows how they got Mike V to be a patron saint of it, so he's come over.
I love the video.
and then it gets even funnier and weirder. Yeah, it's crazy. Tony York's coming apparently.
I love
But
the
then
video.
I remember ringing Jake. I was like, Mike V's coming. We should take him to like a traveller site. Let's see how hard he is. No, I'm getting to mouth off old John Boy. But no, and then I was like, yeah, I wonder if I could try and get him to like come to my house and like like an American just sitting like shit British stuff.
Yeah.
Like my mum makes him bangers and mash. Like, hey, and my mum always used to do this thing
Yeah,
when
Mike.
skaters used to come to my house. She'd be like, have I met this one? Do I know him? But I can imagine my mum doing that to Mike V. Like, hello mate, what's your name? Like, just like well English, isn't it? So, I loved him as a kid, and then he come to. When was the first time I met him? Met him in I met him in Sweden with Jake Snelling, and that was a really nice memory of Jake I've got. Jake still like loves him, And when we got into the arena skate park thing, Mike V was there, and Jake clutched me. He was like, "Fuck, he's there." He was like, "He's there." He's like, "Fuck, you can't talk to him. He's there." And then he was like more stoked than I was, and we went and met him. And I was like, "Yeah, my mate's again." It was at Phil Evans. We were doing those questions things. I was like, "Yeah, my mate's doing like documentary thing. Like, can we interview?" He's like, "Yeah, of course." And then we sat up in the table with him. And it was me and Jake, and I started reading off the questions. You know, like when you grew up in New Jersey, you know, I just skate history and that. Yeah. And then I was like, "Yeah, did you ever feel like, you know, like a bit of an idiot releasing a video where he's fighting people?" And he like, you could tell he was kind of like, and Jake always says about it, he's like, you could well tell he thought about it and was a bit like put on the spot. And he was a bit funny, and he got a bit funny off that. And he was a bit like, and because we were in Sweden for 3 or 4 days, I'd see him be like, "Oh, hey, Mike, how's it going?" He didn't really want anything to do. You could tell he weren't stoked on me. And then I met him again in Whitstable. So he come to the Fire Academy.
And he was like,
and I was like,
this guy.
Yeah, I've met you before. He's like, "Yeah, I remember." So then when he come to the Fire Academy, right, I got all these country and western CDs, because I love country and western. Yeah. So I was like fucking Hank Williams, Patsy Cline, Mel Haggard, you know, like Jimmy Rogers, all these CDs. And I'd give all the slip covers to like all my mates. Like it was like 20 of us. And I was like, "Get Mike V to sign these country CDs." So I went up to him. I was like, "Yeah, I'm a massive fan of your skate, man. Could you sign this?" And he was like, Mel Haggard. And he was like looking, he's like, "Yeah, sure." And he signed it. And I was like, "Yeah, do you like him?" He's like, I mean, you know, he's a great American singer-songwriter, of course." And then someone else like, "Oh, here, Mike, sign this." And then so this went on. I remember in like the end of the event or whatever, I just overheard him talking. He's like, "I don't know why everyone has country and western CDs in this town." He's like, "Someone's keeping a CD shop open." Super rad.
Because he did like an
and then he done an
acoustic
acoustic set, and it
and
was
the lyrics
like,
where it's like, "If they tell you can't do it."
yeah, it's Mike. Yeah, it's
like,
Mike. It's a
proper,
black flag, isn't it?
Proper
Rise
like,
above.
like proper soft.
Yeah, and it was just weird. It was just super weird.
And he's walking around to
yeah,
the
and
crowd.
he's like, I don't know, Christian's VTech was there. And
The video's gone now.
And he was really rad.
What, in Whitstable?
Yeah, it's so
Right,
at the Fire
what?
Academy. It's so weird.
Right. I'm going to put like the Fire Academy.
Oh, yeah, then my
freaks me
friend,
out.
oh, listen to this, right? Then my mate Sam Roberts was there, the dude I told you
Yeah.
about, one from Hastings. And it was weird because Stephen Reeves, you remember that dude who wrote for Creature?
Yeah.
He was there as well, just because he's friends with Sam. So all these American pros in this weird small
But
town.
Christian's VTech. Like, what's
Yeah, he
the
was
link
there.
with the Fire Academy? I don't get it.
Well, he's mates with Mike V, I guess, and he writes for that thing he does, Elephant or whatever it's called. So then they were there, and VTech was really rad. And, you know, again, he's a Midwester, talking about skate history and stuff. But then when we just went to America, I hit him up, he never got back to me. So I don't know if he's a bit like Mike V's giving him a bit of a finger shaking, you know.
The best bit on that video,
Like,
which I said,
stay away from that guy, he's an asshole.
like the video's gone off YouTube now, but I did try and look it up a while ago. He's like, when he's singing and he's like, "If they tell you can't do it, it's because they can't do it themselves." And he walks past you and you go, "All right, boy."
Yeah, oh, boy.
All right. He's like walking around. And you hear Craigie just go,
Yeah, and what's...
"All right,
Have
boy."
you seen Max Rotten's in the door and he looks well uncomfortable?
Yeah, he's just like,
He looks like...
everyone sat there
Yeah,
like
it's really awkward. It went on for ages and it was just awkward and it was weird and it was just...
being really sensitive.
Yeah, it was.
and
I don't know.
slow.
It's. I don't know, mate. You know, I'm sure he's a nice dude or whatever. So anyway, so then that happened, and when we met him, I met him numerous times. And
Yeah.
Foss was like, "Yeah, I saw Mike V at the barracks," and was like, "Oh, you met my mate Questions," and he was like, "Yeah, I remember that guy," and he was like, "No one wants to ever talk about fucking skating. What I'm doing now, everyone wants to know about the 80s." So yeah, it's because it's rad.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
when you was the best.
yeah. So that happened, and then
You went from rad skate geek to jock,
just a
ice
weird-
hockey
yeah, just-
wrestler,
yeah.
abusive dude, and now you're
weird.
trying to bring it back.
So then, anyway, the last run-in.
Can we FaceTime Mike V?
Oh,
now?
mate. Oi, oi.
All right, boy.
But then, so when my mate looked
Can you
up his...
Google his phone? Can you get Mike V's phone number to
Try
FaceTime?
and look at it. So
That'd
when
take me
we...
a little bit longer than just sitting on.
So
on
when we
Google.
met... So then, when we were in America, so we drove... The last trip I was in America was in September, and we drove from Colorado all the way down into the deep south through the Midwest and back up. Yeah. So we drove through Illinois. No, it's not. Sorry. Illinois, is it in it? No, he lives in Iowa. He lives in Des Moines in Iowa. So then my friend found his address and we were like, let's drive there. So we were driving up there and I was like, fuck it. So I just knock on the door, be like, oi, oi. But then I sort of thought about it. I was like, I think he would take like big offence to that. You know, like some dude just turning up. That he could, and then I could imagine getting all shitty. But like, what the fuck you put for, like, do you know what I mean? That's like a bit
I know,
stalking.
but imagine if you had.
Yeah, but
That's fucking funny.
Yeah, but it didn't look like there was anyone in because we stopped outside. I was like,
Imagine if you took a picture and emailed it to me, and you were like,
proper
it's questions
sicko
from
style.
the UK. It's questions from the UK.
should've got
I found
just,
you.
Just loads of photos of his house at all period, like
You
all
should
the
have got a
times of the
disposable
day.
camera taking a picture of yourself and then just posted the
Yeah, that would
picture
have been.
of
Yeah, that would have been.
With the sign, with the sign off, I'm always here with you.
Yeah.
That'd have been
Love
so
questions. Fuck
And then I
hell.
sort of felt, oh man, maybe I should have knocked. But I think that'd be overstepping. But you know, you can give, you know, it's an excuse to sort of stress some of that.
So, it's an excuse for
So
someone
yeah,
to
if you're listening, Mike, you know, I know where you are. But I think, man, I still go back to a lot. Just the footage of him in the 80s was that footage when he was at Brooklyn Banks in the yellow shirt, doing the street
Public
plants.
domain part.
Yeah, it's all of it's rad. I think, you know, and World Industries video.
Rubber shape.
Yeah, he's done some rad stuff for sure. Like
He was when you had like what was it, Jason Lee, the Guns, like Mike V was part of that superstar.
Yeah, but
like
I don't know. But then I don't know, man. I try and take a really diplomatic approach to people and skaters who've got older. I try not to think like you, he's a dickhead, or I don't know. I guess he's just trying to coin it and making a living, or you know. I don't know. I'm really trying to hold my tongue to not say like, you know, he's a pretty kooky dude these days, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he mmust have done all right. I mean, he's still getting reissues out. He must be getting.
Yeah, but then that becomes a bit like. I always think about this, like skaters who hold their integrity and don't try and milk it. And you know, like Wade Speyer is one of the greatest skaters ever.
Yeah.
And he seems to have just gracefully sort of had his time, done his thing, left skating.
But he was always a lorry driver.
Yeah, and he's a blue collar dude, isn't he? He's like a blue collar.
Unreal. I always remember seeing him like the Radlands.
Man, I bet
British
that was
Champions,
amazing.
Fucking unreal. Front side, blunt sides, along and down.
Yeah,
the 50p driveway thing. And I'm sure no one waxed it. Just
full speed and power.
You know, wheels
Incredible.
Screaming.
Like proper, like that's when I think about it. I don't want to sound macho saying this, but it was like manly skating. You know, it was like big fucking big,
barely
big,
like
fakey, like big melon. You know, I just think he was just. Like,
He was used to do dog piss hairs, didn't he, Wade Speyer?
Yeah,
Is that right, Sean?
Amazing.
Sure you know that.
Like what? Like to fake it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he
Dog piss,
does. I
You
just,
ever done dog piss?
I have. Yeah, I used to do them. Yeah,
It's a good trick, that.
yeah, they are. They're a scary one, aren't they? For sure.
Did
So
I?
yeah, I
Never
loved him. I thought he was wicked.
Yeah.
And he's sort of like, you know, he's left this real rad legacy in skating. And you know, now he gets on. He's a normal family guy. He drives a truck. He does whatever. Whereas you look at Mike V, and it's kind of like, yeah, I've just reissued my first graphic on a mouse mat, and you can get a toilet seat with it on, and you can get this, and I've just done it again, and it's like Jesus, man, it's like milking it, scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, he's a guy who's got to survive, and you've got to be diplomatic, I guess. I don't know.
But he employs his daughter, doesn't he, doing that elephant?
I don't know. I don't really research.
Is that
into
even
it.
still going?
Yeah, he does it out of his garage, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Street plant, that's
plant.
it. It was
Sorry, that's it.
Yeah, it was. Wasn't it elephant?
Yeah, I had some elephant boards
Yeah.
on my wall as a kid. I had one with an elephant on it.
Yeah.
And it's
Funny
funny,
enough.
so when he done the speaker, he done this motivational speak at the Fire Academy. He's like, you know, when I was a kid, I come to London in 1985. I don't know what year it was, 87, whatever.
87 or
Yeah,
88,
he's like, I was
I
waiting
think
for
it was.
Paranormal. I was a sponsor. I had my direction in. He's like, we got to South Bank, and Sam Roberts was like, did it stink of piss like back then? And it was so funny. It was like silent. And yeah, and he shouted that out, and I was like, well, I thought it was so funny. And then, because he's so serious, I didn't concentrate on it. I was thinking about the moves that were coming out at the time. And then my mate Sam just kept shouting, like, really, like, sort of stuff. I was like, fucking hell. And
He's a
heckling
serious
pretty bad.
dude, isn't he?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
is. And Tony Hawk, like, when I met him, he was pretty serious. Because these dudes are, like, pro, like, athletes or skaters or whatever they are. So they know what to say in interviews, don't they? Like, Tony Hawk was kind of like, I don't know, you couldn't really be like, I don't know, what do you think of Mr. Blobby? Do you know what I mean? Because he's kind of like, he knows his answers.
What do you think of Mr. Blobby?
Yeah.
What do you think of Mr.
I
Blobby?
don't know, I haven't thought about him since I said him. You know what I mean? You can't really sort of get, like, a laugh out of these dudes.
Yeah, they're pretty clean.
Because they know what they're doing. And
Yeah,
they've been doing
they're-
it for years. And that's kind
Yeah,
of...
they're like
Media
media
trained.
trained.
Yeah, media trained. Yeah, that's a good term, yeah. And then we met Justin Lynch. You remember that?
No.
Vert skater that was around for like 5 minutes. He was on Alva when it turned into New School, whatever it's called.
No,
Well, he might have had a board on Alva in the later days. He was like an amazing vert skater. He was a bit of a kook, man. Like,
Yeah.
and then me and Jake had made up this bloke called Mental Mickey. We're like, yeah, imagine it's like this old builder, some old like, old gasser builder that works with your dad, and like, but he eats old rotten animals. He's like, yeah, I was going down to butchers and get like bags full of gristle and that. And we were just saying about this horrible bloke who's got well horrible guts and he's always got diarrhea. And then Jake's just like, go ask him about him. And he was like, you know, I fucking come to England and Sean Goff was the English skater and And I was like, yeah, have you ever met like Mental Mickey? And he was like, who the fuck's that? And Jake's like, he's this bloke that eats like guts. And then we're like, oh my God, Jake's got the audio like recorded still. And he cannot hold it together, and it is so funny to listen to.
That's right.
He's like, and I'm trying to keep like, like trying not to piss myself. It's like hilarious. We should put it in Blokes too, actually, because it's fucking funny. And then the American guy's getting pissed off, like, because he thinks we're taking the piss out of him, and yeah, it's really funny.
Talking about the Blokes thing quickly. Is it Snelling that has the login for the Blokes Instagram?
No, there's a few of them. It's like, Jake, why is U.S.A?
Because there's just like there'll be a random video where it's like a no smoking sign, and then it turns and it's Jake outside at like an airport, and it's just like, get up there, boy. But then there was a video of you on there the other day when you're like, when you've had the builders in for 6 hours, and they're like, no, have some bangers and mash.
I just sent that to him because I was painting the wall in my house. I was just painting the wall, and I had bangers and mash the night before. I ate for lunch, and then I thought about it. You imagine just being stressed out because they're not doing anything.
And you've been here for 6 hours. You're like,
that's
no,
like 6 months. Yeah,
have bangers and mash.
Yeah, just sort of.
I love the random things of Jake will pop up or you all pop up.
Yeah, I think so it's Jake and Jack and Ed. I think that hold the keys to the universe.
Yeah,
Blokes. So
what's going on with Blokes too? Do you know?
Slow process, but there's just we've been filming loads of skits and stuff. It's almost like the downfall of it's the skating. We need more skate footage. I was Blokes 2 is going to be pretty mental. Like the stuff we've done, I'm not going to talk about it. You'll see it and be like, how have they done this?
I was so bummed out because there was that day when you were filming in the prison. And I think you'd hit Dead Dave up or someone, and you were like, "Oh, come down with Forde," and we were really keen. And then on the day, Dave does it all the time. He was just like,
yeah, it's a shame. That was
mental.
mental.
Be bothered, and it was like it just looked like everyone was there having the raddest time.
Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, it's really funny.
But that scene in the trailer when he's like, "I want the same thing as you, you little cunt," and he's got the tea tool in his hand. I'm like, "Fucking hell."
Yeah, but wait until you just see the whole
It's gonna be so good.
Yeah, and the climax of it is pretty unbelievable.
Yeah,
like it's nuts. It's nuts.
Do you reckon there's like an ETA on it, or is it like you said, just?
Oh, you hear dates for it. Like Jake thinks October, but then I don't really know. Yeah. Sometimes I guess because I can introvert myself. Sometimes I've like pulled myself back from them a bit, and for no reason I just feel like hermetic. I guess I spend a lot of time on my own. I don't see people for months, but then I've been seeing them all recently again and sending ideas for that, and it's wicked. I don't know roughly. I don't know. Yeah. It's just more skate footage and stuff to edit it in, and Yeah. But it's getting there. Yeah, it's a massive amount of it's done, and it's going to be pretty nuts. Yeah, it's going to be nuts. Yeah, so that's good.
Is it going to come out as just a YouTube thing?
I don't know. I'm not really sure. Going on about premiering it in like the IMAX cinema or something. So we'll probably release it on video.
That video Joyce filmed of like the first bloke.
Yeah, the premiere was amazing.
He looked nuts, man.
And it's funny because you don't really you do get premieres these days, but that's something I remember as a kid going to like premieres and everyone would be there.
It's changed now, hasn't it?
It has a
little
little
bit,
bit, yeah.
Shit coming out every single day.
And it's funny because me and Jake talks about that. He was like, "Yeah, I used to love it. Like you go to like the fucking whatever premiere, and all your favourite pros were there, and it was like a big night." And he was like, "Yeah, we should do that with Blokes," and that's why we done it. We got vans to pay for it in like the cinema, like the Peckhamplex cinema, and it was really good. Like it was amazing.
Then didn't you have like a band play after as well?
Yeah, and then we rented out this social club around the corner.
Yeah.
And we rented that out, and just everyone was in there. It was just nuts.
Yeah, it looked like
strangely, there wasn't any sort of like mental chaos and fights or stuff getting smashed up, or because there's a lot of energy in there, and people get over the top sometimes. But it was pretty good. But then the social club, me and my girlfriend went in there when I very first met her, and I was like, "Yeah, do you remember putting like a skateboard event on?" The woman was like, "Yeah, we would never bloody do it again." Because it was a nightmare. It took 3 days to clean up. And so it's pretty funny. So we won't be using the Peckham Social Club again. But
fucking hell. Yeah, I can't wait to see it, man.
But it will be good. It'll be good. A lot of work goes into it and stuff. And that's another thing you don't realise, the behind stuff. Like my mate Jack is just so persistent with, he just sends you loads of ideas and he'll write every scene out. And a lot of work goes into it, a lot of time. And it's, really developing to say.
Yeah, Jack's sick, man.
He's amazing.
He's
incredible.
So fucking sick.
Yeah, incredible person.
Have you had any? Obviously, you're well travelled. Have you had any near-death experiences?
Fucking hundreds of them, man. Daily. Yeah, I've got to think. Well, I've had them like, working in the woods where stuff goes wrong and fucking chainsaws and things like that.
I was going to say, working with chainsaws must be fucking
Yeah,
gnarly.
yeah, I've nearly put one, I've had action. Man, nothing can come to mind. Me and Sam Roberts is getting a lot of mentions. We were all in a car just going to fucking like Weymouth once or Cornwall or something. And we were driving and we were in the fast lane of like a freeway motorway going to wherever we were going. It was a West Country somewhere or Bristol or somewhere. And we were the guy driving was doing like 100 or 90 and a car in front of us, I don't even know how, it doesn't even seem real. It literally just come to a stop. It just and we was like, he skidded out of the way into the middle lane. Luckily there was nothing behind us and we skimmed this car. I don't know how it didn't flip and fucking kill us.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like, and then when we all looked back, it was just a massive pile up behind his car. That was like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
That could have been pretty bad. And then, oh man, I don't know if near-death experiences. When I was in Palestine, we got stopped in it. We just hitchhiked in Palestine. We got stopped in that this car pulled over and it had like Israeli soldier with fucking machine gun in our faces, screaming. Oh, fucking in America, fucking this dude. I've told this story, so people are listening. They're probably going to be, oh, this one again. But I got on a bus from Arizona I've just come from Arizona to like downtown LA, and I got on a bus to go back to wherever Foss was living at the time. And there was this dude who got on the bus and he had fucking covered in face tattoos and stuff. And like, the buses out there are like the driver sits there and you've got them rows that sit opposite her and then they go back. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting opposite the driver and this dude got on. He's like, yo, fucking let me get to Hollywood. And the woman was like, I can't let you do it. And he's like, no, come on, don't be fucking. He's like, just let me on. And then I was like, yeah, let him on, he's all right. And she was like, oh, okay. And he sat down and he was like sitting behind me. And then we were driving and he started tapping the wall and shit. And everyone was like, oh, here we go. And then she was like, come on, buddy, I'll let you on the bus. You got to chill out. He's like, no, fuck, it's cool. And he's sitting there and he starts like tapping his feet. And then she was like, come on, fucking, seriously. And she sort of like pulled over. She's like, come on, get off the bus. And he was like, no, it's cool. Sorry, I'm going to chill. And then 5 minutes goes past. By this time, he's sort of like sitting so I could see him. And he's kind of like quite irritated and like sort of fucking moving around. And then this went on and he done something else and she stopped again. She was like, right, last time I'm going to call the cops if you're going to. And he's like, no, it's cool, just keep driving. And it chilled out for like 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. You could tell the bus was packed at the back. He was kind of nervous. And he just started fucking like smashing on the window, like mental. And he's like, fucking, and he starts going nuts. And as she's like gone to pull over, he pulled a gun out of his fucking pants. I was like, fuck you. And he put the gun, like he basically swung around. The gun was there. He didn't point it at me. And he just fucking had it at the woman's head. And she screams. She fucking screams and just must have had a panic attack. And I remember seeing it because I was like, whoa, this is nuts. And she just fainted. She just went back and like just fucking fainted. And she was just laying. But obviously she put her foot down on the gas. Yeah. And he's just like hit the emergency stop and just fucked off out of the bus. And this fucking bus is like cutting across the lanes. All the cars are skidding out of the way. Someone's run down. Everyone's screaming. Someone's rung the fucking police or whatever. This guy's pulled her out to slam the brakes. It was all, it's like fucking movie stuff. All happened like that. And the next thing you know, all these cars, police cars, fucking 20 of them all skid around, all the lights are flashing. All the police, like everyone on the floor. And I remember just getting down. It's like one of the first times I was there and I was like, mate, this is nuts. And it was like, I was excited. It was like, fucking hell. So that could have been something mental. And then I got on the next bus and I just couldn't believe it. And I sat there, like at the end of it was like these fucking two junkies like counting pills out, all fucked. And there was a guy shouting about Jesus.
And then the dude from the last bus got on.
No, and I was just sitting, I was like, mate, this is just nuts. This is crazy.
Yeah, there's some stuff in America where it's unreal.
It is.
Just seeing unreal shit.
Yeah, it is. I know. Yeah. In fact, all the craziest stuff I think I've seen there. Some homeless bloke pulled a syringe out and like jabbed it at me once. Like just crossing the road and this guy was pulling like an industrial oven across the road. Some homeless bloke. And there was another one. And he had this jacket and he come up to me, he's like, got any use for this? And he like flunked and it was like, whoa, I was like, fucking hell, man. And he was kind of just there like, so you see things like that. I get, and so I don't, but near-death experiences that are like, whoa, I've done loads of stuff that could have been near-death. I remember me and my mate in Canada, we jumped down a wall, there was this waterfall it's in BC somewhere. And I remember we swimming towards it and it was fucking pretty big. And I was like, "What? Be careful to get pulled down." And this like kid jumps in, was like, "You going down the waterfall?" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, you can." And he just slid down it, and we watched him. I was like, "Oh, whoa, let's do that." And then so we both done it, and it was like super scary. It was like a fucking 20-foot drop or whatever, going super fast down a waterfall. And then when we got to the bottom, and it was in like a canyon, so it was like fucking hundreds of feet tall, right? We got at the bottom, and there was a couple of kids down there, and you had to climb up this rock face, and there was a jump with a gap. It was all like stones and gap into water, but the gap was fucking pretty big. And then my friend Drew was kind of like, "Fuck, I don't know if I can make that." And I was like, and then some guy was like, "Yeah, you just got to run and have it," sort of thing. So he did it, and then my mate Drew done it, and just about cleared. And it was a pretty big job as well. And then I'm looking down like, and there's a fucking dude with me. He's like, "Oh, fuck, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know." And he was getting super stressed. And then I was like, "Oh, mate," he put the fear in me, like, really bad. And then I was like, "Fuck, I'm stuck down this valley." Like, and there was some other dudes there, some like fucking sort of fucking bro with like his woman, like his like, you know, trophy looking girlfriend.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Bro," he's like, "You could just fucking climb up the cliff face. There's a rope." And there was just one rope that just went all the way up like hundreds of feet. And he was like, "Yeah, just fucking be careful." And he did it, and his girlfriend was like crying on the way up. It was pretty big, and it was like, there was like little bits where you could have a break. Yeah. And I mean, but it was easy because it was like that. You're like, what's it called? Not abseiling, so that's down. But you could kind of do it. Was, but I remember looking down, and it was like, if I fall, I'm fucking dead. Like it was, I looked down and got sort of anxious, like, fuck, I might. And I just had to do it and not look. I was like, I don't want to look behind me because it's like terrifying. So things like that. I'm going to leave and be like, "Oh, I didn't tell him about that time that bloke held a machete at my throat." You know, I like, there's going to be something that's going to come up like, fuck, I missed that one. But that's a hard one. Nothing that I look back on every day and think I could have died. I dropped a chainsaw full revs through my leg. Like full revs, and it like skimmed the trousers I was wearing. Things like that are like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know.
There's loads of mental random shit you see travelling.
Yeah, there is.
Like travelling anywhere. I think my first night in New York, we were walking just down a side street, and some guy was just throwing bottles, just smashing it, having a fit.
Yeah.
And he's in the middle of a crowded place.
Yeah.
And a cop pulled up on like the tannoy, like, "Sir, you gotta stop doing what you're doing." And he's like smashing the bottles, and he turns around and throws one at the car. And the guy that I was with who lived there was just so used to it. He's like, "Dude, if we stick around here right now and he throws another bottle at the car, they'll just shoot him dead."
Yeah.
And
I've seen people shot in the mouth.
And they're kind of like, "Do you want to see it?" And I'm like, "No."
I saw a woman shoot I saw a woman with like a sniper rifle on a bridge shoot a bloke like dead, which was nuts. And then when we drove years ago, that was quite gnarly. When we drove to Colorado, but I can't remember where we were, but it was like mental blizzard, like snow you've never seen. Yeah. And it was all those crazy mountain roads. And it was like loads of warnings to not drive it, but if you have to drive it, so Logan was like, "Yeah, we shouldn't, but we will." And I drive, you know, like for what a 2-hour drive was, it took 8 hours because we had to do it like 15 miles an hour with the chains on the tyres. And I remember as soon as we got on the freeway, right, it was nuts. There was like the road that went round, like what they call a hairpin turn, and the barrier was fucking broke, and there was a truck that had gone down the cliff, and it was all smashed and on fire, and it was like, whoa, that's
what just happened.
Yeah, just happened.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, that's quite scary. So there's loads of stuff like that, and just trying to think where else. Trying to think of other stuff where you're like, well, that's quite gnarly, but nothing comes to mind. So there is loads.
It's just random day-to-day events where you look back on them.
But America, definitely. I've seen a lot of violence, quite grotesque violence in America. Saw these in Vegas. We saw these two kids just completely beat the fuck out of this dude, really horrendously with bats. And that was quite gnarly. The kid was like half dead on the floor, and it's just like, it was in a skate park. And it was that thing where it's like, I don't like violent confrontation. I don't go as far as to say, but I'd say I'm a pacifist. I don't believe in violence whatsoever. So I do get kind of shook up at situations. I used to fight when I was younger. Like, I remember going to America with my mate Drew, and we had a big fight in a bar, and it was like something out of a cowboy movie. Yeah. And loads of chairs were getting thrown around. I fucking threw a glass in someone's face, you know that. But these two kids like really like fucking bladdered. This
just like ran in and
right, literally, and it was sad. It was like a fat Mexican kid on a scooter, and these kids ran in, and they had like balaclavas on and shit, like all pulled down. And one of them had a bat, and he just fucking whacked this kid. He fell to the floor, and they were just kicking him and the kid was smashing the kid's like face in. and the kid was screaming and he like wet himself. And it was kind of, the whole skateboard went silent. And one of the kids with us was like, what the fuck? And he got his board up and the kid was like, fucking lifted his shirt. I was like, do something. And he had a gun like in his shorts. So that's kind of like, fuck, what'd you do? Do you know what I mean? Like what?
Yeah.
And it was kind of, and he like sort of got it out. And then there was a girl and she filmed it and they all run off. And then I ran over to the kid and he was like, oh, it was really bad. It was like horrendous. Yeah. And he was crying and he didn't even know where he was and stuff. And then some other kid was like, yeah, I think it was like, because he was like 13-year-old, like fat nerd Mexican kid.
Yeah.
I think it was either some gang violence, prove yourself, or it was like just mistaken identity. But it was really bad. It was like
Imagine mistaken identity. That's gnarly, isn't it?
Yeah, just stuff like that. It's a bit like, oh shit.
Let's get to a bit more of a positive and start rounding it up because we've been here for a while. The last question we got here is favourite heroin riders.
Who's your favourite heroin rider?
Yeah.
Fucking don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I only met him once, but I always loved Howard Cook.
Yeah.
And I've never seen him skate. I never got the pleasure to see Howard skate. But I met him and he was really rad. He was sick. What favourite is it not personal? I don't know. It's a hard one.
There was a weird era, and I know Foz admits it, we spoke about it, around like Magic Sticky Hand 2 and the Dawning of Earth Goblin, where it was just kind of like random American skate park kids.
Foss, what's really rad about Foss, is he sees good in people. He sees good in people.
100%.
And then he'd be like, I don't know, he used to send me footage like, I've met this kid down a local park called like Johnny. And it would just be some weird random kid doing like horrendous tricks. But obviously it's Foss is like, he's a local and he's rad. I might give him boards.
Yeah,
it's just like, oh, man.
it's understandable.
I've always been a fan of people who have rad nicknames, like Rough Mike.
Yeah, he loves a nickname. That's a real, bro. I always think that's a real English thing, though.
Yeah.
Because I ever think of fucking like half the Death Riders. Like so many of them. They're like, if you met my mate Table, you met Toast. Do you know what I mean? There's just so many.
Have you met Spoon? The thing is with heroin is, aside from like the random fucking Americans that you might have put on before and now left, sorry Foz, diversity of the team, he's always had one of the most diverse teams.
Yeah, I guess he has, doesn't
you know
he? Because he's got all those like Japanese.
The fucking, the freaks in Japan, the freak deer man.
Yeah,
like you and Dave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like this random.
I remember he said about that. We talked about that once because I remember years ago I lived in London. Did you ever see that Bees video?
Yeah.
It's pretty hectic, isn't it?
Yeah.
But he loved that, and we watched that, and it was pretty funny, and it was kind of like, I always want to aim out for these dudes because it's like the
he's always
unconventional sense.
He's always had a good eye at finding
But
the absolute weirdos.
Sometimes, again, in a criticism of mine, sometimes unconventional isn't always necessarily good. Like,
Yeah.
I see it as, it's subjectiveness, isn't it, skating? It's up to you what you're into and what your tricks are. But I think there's a lot of trends at the moment I don't really like in skating. I don't really like when people over-exaggerate sweepers, when they're spinning them around. And I just think a sweeper's just good enough as it is. And there's a lot of that goes on. Then there's a lot of, like, this weird step-off, shove-it stuff that I don't really think too much on. And then it can become a bit too out there. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? It can be a bit like, whoa.
Well, I think the good thing with Foz we find in those people is it was like the first at the time for those people.
Yeah, of course,
like,
yeah.
Deerman.
Well, Deerman's an exception because it's completely different, isn't it? And they really took, the barrier and pushed it to next levels. And that doesn't really seem as kooky. That was just doing like super hard tricks on super hard transition.
Yeah.
But when you get a weird kid who does a bonus and then throws it down and picks it up again, then spins it around and sits on his board, and it's kind of just a bit circusy. It's a bit. I'm not really a fan of it, but then again, it's it's up to you what you're into, and if it's your thing, it's rad.
I got told, because I've not been to Canada, but their barriers are smaller with more transition.
Yeah, they're like just quarter pipes.
Yeah, that's what someone told me.
Some of them are easier to skate.
But then there's some you see in their videos that are just blocked.
Yeah, and sometimes they skate without the shit at the bottom, which is well hard.
Yeah, it's fucking super hard.
Then it all starts. He loves that Carlos Long. You know about that dude? Did they talk about him? Carlos Longo.
No.
Who was this like Vancouver skater in the 80s who was like amazing. And there's an old Skull Skates picture of him doing a rock and roll on a barrier. He's got like long hair. Probably seen the photo.
Yeah, backside rock and roll, right?
Yeah. They say that inspired
heavy black and white.
Yeah, they said that inspired barrier car.
I wish we could get Skull Skate stuff in the UK because it's fucking
cool, isn't it? Yeah, it's cool.
It's
iconic.
Yeah, it was always like
it's fucking
just an iconic logo, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just good. Oldest skate shop in Vancouver, isn't it, or Canada?
So that guy's pretty weird. That guy is really weird, like PD. Me and Fox went to his house, and he was showing us all this stuff, and he was kind of like a bit of a weird dude. And like, But he had boards that you've never even heard or seen of. And he was like, yeah, check this Jason Catalumi board. I've never even heard of him.
Yeah.
His collection's nuts. But he had a pile of like tracker stickers like that. And I was like, fucking hell, can I buy one? He was like, no, I'm not selling you one. I was like,
Just
and then,
dead in the eye.
oh
No.
yeah. And then he had I don't know, he had like this, like he had loads of weird stuff, like the Neil Blender board that was printed in all the opposite colours that you'd never see. And I was like, oh, right, and I went to get my photos. Like, don't take photos of that. It was like, whoa, all right. And he kind of done that. He's quite serious, like
Yeah.
Well, for the sake of
just weird, man. Just kind of really critical of everything, maybe. I don't know. But he was a nice guy. He was, he seemed all right, I guess. Sort of. But no, no, Foster's got it covered, I guess. It is a quite diverse team, isn't it? It's quite bad. But favourite skate, I like them all, man. Like, I guess a bunch of them are my mates, aren't they? Tom Day's wicked.
Tom Day is wicked, yeah.
Dave's wicked. Chris
wicked.
Pullman's wicked.
Yeah.
They're all rad, aren't they?
All the English ones are wicked.
Yeah, what American ones do I like? Not really a fan of Chet Childress, to be honest. Don't really
He's
care.
not done anything for fucking
Well, I
years.
don't know. I sort of had, I don't know. I wanted, again, a trip in America. I tried to get to Colorado and I asked him and he weren't that. I don't know. I just don't care for him, really. It's whatever. I'm sure he's rad.
Zane was sick, rest in peace.
Yeah, he was
Zane
good.
Zane
he
was
was good.
really
Who else?
good.
I didn't think much on that Tony Carr dude. I'm not really.
He kind of came and went, and he same with that Anaya Lee or whatever his name was. He like came and went.
Sure.
That Nolan, Noli Roly Poly, he's pretty fucking rad.
I haven't really. I watched that footage, that thing that came out recently. But
Yeah.
I don't really keep up with that much skating, to be honest.
Yeah,
this time.
it's hard now. There's too fucking
There's
much
too
of
much
it.
of it, and
Yeah.
you can become quite diet,
But
you can become
Nolan's
quite
sick
taken
though,
away.
man. Like his part
Yeah.
was good.
Well, it's funny because I don't know if you get it getting older. You see all these guys that are coming up and they're young kids and they're just amazing. It can be overwhelming, can't it?
Yeah.
They're better than you would have ever been, sort of thing. Not that it's a competition, but it's what I'm trying to say is it's rad, isn't it? Because you get these kids and you know how that felt. When you're like 15 and you're fucking learning tricks every day.
Yeah, and it's well exciting.
And it's nice to see because it's like, man, you're at the start of it, and that's it's quite a sweet.
Give it 10 more years and
You'll
you'll want to
hate
be
all
at the
of
end
it.
of it.
You want to be, like I say, a civil war.
But let's get wrapping that up. We didn't talk about Earth Goblin or Video Nasty, but you can just watch them.
We can talk about it. Yeah, let's talk more heroin stuff, I guess. The Video Nasty video. Could you upload my section from that? Because, like I said, I don't like my section,
Probably,
but I like that one because it had that Red Cross song in it.
Yeah.
Burnout, which is a good song.
Have you got a converter VHS?
Yeah.
Get on it.
I do love that video. I love the Earth Goblin video because that kind of introduced Dead Dave
Yeah, his section's good in
to
there,
the world, and then
Yeah.
there was the stuff that we'd filmed on the heroin trip. It was it felt very heavily like. Video Nasty is far better without a doubt, but
that was exciting because that's when I sort of got on.
Yeah,
and they were, that was quite. And we used to go to Paris and stay with Steve Mallet all the time.
Yeah, love
in the
Steve
winter,
Mallet.
and it was freezing.
Yeah,
and that's a funny thing. Foss would be like, "Yeah, you got like a month to get footage. The video's coming out." And he's in California, so fuck, it's December and we're in Paris. And it's like a snowstorm, you nutter.
Yeah, you're in fucking heat wave.
Yeah, but he must remember what it's like.
Oh, I don't know. I think he's
living up
forgot
in the
about the
Northwest and
seasons.
stuff.
Yeah, he must do.
A while now, isn't it?
But that was good. That good memories from that time period, that coming out, and
I just felt like the Earth Goblin vid was good because it was like we were all heavily quite involved in it. Like I filmed a bunch of your stuff.
I'm just trying to think what ones. I can't even remember what one's what. Is that the Earth Goblin one? The Earth Goblin's the newest video.
It's the one that Foz edited. Yeah.
What's the one with the weird animation in it?
It was bath salts around that time.
Bath salts. Yeah. I'm thinking. I hated my bath salts bit. That is an embarrassment. I hate it.
There was too much random shit in there that I couldn't relate to, and there was like a 5-minute cartoon.
Yeah, I didn't like the
a
animation.
5-minute cartoon bit.
Think too much on that.
Just random shit. The best part, Magic Sikian too. Logan Devlin. Had a part in that, amazing.
100%. Logan's the best.
Yeah.
Logan's one of my favourite skaters ever.
Video Nasty and Live from Antarctica. They're my two favourites.
Yeah, Life from Antarctica is unbeatable, isn't it?
It's their best.
Because that's again, I still, when I remember it coming out and just being so excited.
Yeah.
And we saw the premiere. Me and my mate Dan went up to see the premiere. And he had a broken leg and he went up on his crutches. And I swear, it's weird when you're a kid how you remember things differently. I swear the video was different to the DVD that come out. And it would be like, we were just trying, it's almost like you want to hold on to them, Just kept trying to remember it all.
Where was the premiere for that?
It was in Prince Charles. And I just loved it. I just thought it was real like magical. It was like, and I was young and sort of naive, and it was all new, and I met Foss there, I think, the first time. And it was like, fucking hell, that's that guy I see in all the mags. I love his skating. And
I think I went to that. I can't remember.
Oh, they had a premiere for
It's
Magic
like a
Sticky
lifetime
Hand
away,
at the Boardroom Skate Park, and Foz gave everyone the sticky hands that you could swing around. Yeah, I've got Video Nasty Magic Sticky Hand, the OG.
Because you know when Live from Antarctica come out, right, it just took ages to come out on DVD.
Yeah. And
you'd see it, you know, in the back of the mags when it'd be like, it's just 2.0, and it'd be all the videos, and it would be on there. And I'd be like, fucking hell, it's out. And I'd ring them up, and I'd be like, is it Live from Antarctica? And I'm like, no, we ain't got it in yet. And it just went on for like months. And I don't know.
I think that was like around the time when DVDs were sort of happening.
Yeah,
more.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure if you ask him, there's probably a story behind that. I don't know, they couldn't duplicate it or something. But I just remember just waiting.
Or just due to popularity of the DVD boom, I guess.
Yeah, but then it come out, and I remember got it for like Christmas. But I had it before Christmas.
So it's got loads of good bonus shit on there.
It's good,
well.
It's wicked.
Colin Fisk was introduced in that video.
And that is just, he's rad, isn't he? Yeah, it's really, Howard Cooking, that's really good. And so I love that. Everything's going to be all right, it's really good. They're all good, man. They're all good because they've got different shit going on, haven't they?
Yeah.
In different periods of time. But yeah, Earth Goblin was the last one. And again, with my section in that, I just didn't really... It's not that I didn't put effort in. I don't know. The last few years I found skating quite hard. The motivation's been quite hard. I get very down on myself. I don't really feel like I've got a place in skating. I don't know. How can you? I don't know really. I haven't learned a trick for years, and
I've not learned anything for fucking ages.
Yeah, and that can be frustrating. But it's like almost like there's part of me that hasn't really been too bothered to want to progress. I don't know. I just get on with like.
Just got.
You've got loads of other stuff going on, I guess, haven't you?
Yeah.
My mother dying was it's been a pretty big blow, and then a good friend of mine I lost at the beginning of the year. So, our motivation to do things can be quite hard.
Yeah.
But I swim and run a lot. A lot of energy goes into that. So.
Yeah.
Loads and loads of swimming and running. So.
As long as you're staying active, that's all.
Always. You have to look after this vessel, don't you?
Shall we?
You ready to
knock it on the head?
Knock it on the head, because that was a pretty good in-depth conversation. That was very fucking good.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming.
No, thank you for
round of applause from the studio audience.
It's been nice, thank you.
Nice, if you want to sign us off in true Craig questions
we never
style.
got to talk about any good stuff, did we?
What good stuff?
Any good history, you know?
You'll have to come back for part 2.
Yeah, we'll do part 2. We'll get it back another time.
The Salem witch trials.
Oh, yeah, good.
Southern history, all this.
You sign us off, look into that camera and say...
The 1917 Russian Revolution.
I've been Craig Questions, and this is the Brain Drain Show.
I'm Craig Questions.
This one here. That one there.
Where? There's not a camera. That's a
There's
lie.
one there. It's
behind
been on
the
here all the
light.
whole time.
Oh, gee, fucking hell, I didn't even see that. I'm Craig Questions. This has been Drain Brain. Drain Brain. Let's go Drain Brain. Sorry. Thank you.
Right, now let's smash it. Live!